Hello and welcome back to the Lich Please podcast. As always, I'm here with Alex, and out of our many collabs we have done in the past, we have our first British collab
Yeah.
today. First British creators. We have
Yeah.
ELDRITCH PODBLAST with us.
What a treat. Hello. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
Thank you for
Nice.
coming. Yeah.
Great, yeah.
First
course.
British people we've had on podcasts. Yeah, it's crazy.
British.
Yeah.
There's
Gotta unite. There's not too many of us.
not.
No, yeah, truly.
That's
yeah,
true,
No,
that's
yeah,
true,
true,
that's
true.
true.
Us Brits.
Well,
It's in our blood.
I know that D&D Shorts is. He's British.
Oh, I know D&D
Yeah,
Shorts as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot are American.
True.
A lot are American.
True.
Yeah. We've had quite a few American guests. A few big ones as well. Yeah, but first British. That's nice. In fact, seems we're talking about Britain.
Great
What do you think of the? What do you think of the D&D culture over here?
Over here, I definitely... It's tough, isn't it? Because around where we live, because we live in the northeast of England, and it's not a particularly big place or a popular place to live. It's not very big up here. We've got like one or two game stores. But I remember there was one recently. What was it called that we used to go to?
Oh gosh. Oh, Geek Retreat.
Geek Retreat. Yeah, I don't think that's a chain. But
Oh,
even
I've
that
heard
shut
of
down.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even that shut down here, sadly.
Yeah, like
Oh man.
there's to be fair, the scene here specifically, like in the town we live in,
Mhm.
is wonderful. It is blossoming. There is a lot of people interested, and not just in like D&D, like in TTRPG,
Yeah.
in tabletop games in general. It's a small community, but it's good.
It is good, yeah. But in terms of the UK, I mean, we went to Comic-Con
Yeah.
when Critical Role were there, and the D&D fans were out in force.
Yeah, truly.
yeah.
So it's
I can
big.
imagine,
I think it is big here, I guess. I
Yeah.
think maybe it's just not big where we live.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah. I mean, I live basically in London, so
Yeah.
it's relative. Like people know it. Like there's
Yeah.
game stores where I live.
Yeah.
People run sessions. Yeah, it's relatively big where I live, but people know of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I came from a farm in mid Wales.
Interesting. So how was the scene on the farm?
Yeah, so
There wasn't much time for D&D between getting up at 5 a.m. and milking cows, but
I'm
Interesting.
shocked.
yeah, I came back to do my masters at uni just last January. There wasn't too many at that point, but then the society broke off into role-playing society and tabletop, like the RPG. And I walked into that lecture hall for like in September for the opening of the society, and there was like 50 people, and I was like, "Have I come to the wrong place? Like, walked into the wrong room?" There was like 10 of us last year, and now there's like
together.
all these new people. 200 people turned up eventually.
Wow.
Really?
It's the fourth largest society in the University of Lincoln,
Wow.
Oh, I
which
love
is
that.
amazing. It's so great.
Wow, bloody hell! And is
That's
that
insane.
specifically for D&D, or is that kind of like TTRPGs in general?
No, Vampire of the Masquerade,
Nice.
a load of other like indie TTRPGs, loads of stuff.
Oh, I
Nice.
love that. See, I think
That's
I
sick.
think it's all changing, right? Like regardless of like how small the towns are that you live in, it's cool to you can be whoever you want to be now.
Yeah.
I think, back when D&D first like came to its inception, the whole satanic panic thing, it was not okay to play things like D&D or like TTRPGs in general. And now I think it's
And then it went from that to you're a nerd.
you
Would be lambasted not for being satanic,
yeah.
but for just being a nerd.
Yeah.
But now nerd is like cool.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is with the community, whether how small or how big it is, I think people are just so like fiercely passionate for it. So it doesn't matter if there's like 4 of you, 5 of you.
Exactly.
Like you will love it like to your core.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about the TTRPG communities. They're just so passionate.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, 100%. I think people are realizing as well that it's not literally like wearing a cosplay, sitting there and
Dressing up as a warlock on a
doing
Friday
voices all the
evening.
time. Yeah, like it's not that.
That is exactly what my brother, like, I can't remember what happened. I texted him being like, he wanted to go to the driving range or something to play golf, and I was like, I can't on Wednesday, I'm playing D&D, and he was like, yes, I forgot you dress up like a warlock or some shit on Wednesdays. more people on the outside looking in still probably think of it.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
changing though. It's
It is
changing.
changing.
It's
It
changing.
definitely is.
Oh yeah, 100%. So I reckon we go into my favorite segment because
Okay.
I've just been really excited for this one.
All right. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So just to go over the rules again, is I'm gonna read out a certain amount of stats at a time, make a sound, or just be like, just guess, whatever. Whoever gets it first wins. It's a monster. It's always a new monster. I never repeat, so it won't be any of the ones I've done.
Is it from the manual?
Is it a kobold?
Yes, it's from the manual. Cool. So,
Are you prepared for absolutely blow all this out of the water?
You're building up expectations.
Nah.
I don't get it. I'll look a fool.
Jackson never played D&D in his life.
Never. It's my first time.
So I will start with the AC, the hit points, and its speed. AC is 17.
Right.
Hit points are 135, so 18 d8s plus 54, and speed is 30 feet.
Okay. It's quite a high AC, and that's quite high hit points as well. I don't know.
It's a kobold.
It's not. It's not a death knight, is it?
No, it's not Death Knight.
Oh, no. I can't even make a legitimate guess here. I truly can't.
I mean, they're big though. That's big. Like 30.
Yeah.
30 foot's like super average.
So,
Yeah, it is.
Like yeah. Yeah.
You ain't got any guesses, or
All right. I'll go.
17
I'll.
AC.
It's you said wraith.
no?
Not red.
I never have any guesses until you get to like the strengths and dex, and you can kind of like
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's it. We're just
formulate
warming
like
up.
it's dumb, but it's strong.
Yeah.
Well, I'll throw out some new stats then. We'll go strength, dex, and con. 11 strength, 16 dex, and 16 con.
Okay.
All
so
right.
it's a dex-based creature.
All right. Okay. Me going, yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm writing my notes.
I'm honing it in.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think I have any guesses.
No, do
It's
I?
a dex based. It's got 16 con and 16 dex. 11 strength.
Come on, Jack.
No, that's impossible. But it's not. Somebody would.
I can see the cogs moving in Iwan's brain. He's trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm really. It's been a long day.
I'm glad someone has cogs going. I've got monkey with symbols.
We'll go on to intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. 20 intelligence, 14 wisdom, and 16 charisma.
Okay.
Jesus. Okay.
Oh,
It's not a lich, is it?
It is a lich. Yeah.
Is this what
Is
you
this
were
why
like?
you were like, I should have done this
I should have done this before with a Lich Please podcast, and I've never thought to do it.
Understood. All
Big
right.
Yeah.
jed to you in there. Big
Good job.
GG.
Yeah. Wow. That was I'm surprised you got that.
It was
Smart.
just the intelligence.
Yeah.
When we started to get into like paralyze and touch, I'd probably get it then.
Oh, me too.
Probably got it at that
I
point.
would have got it at
Yeah,
paralyzing
yeah,
touch
paralyze
for
and
sure.
touch, right?
Yes.
Right, yeah, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think the next stats, let's get up. The next stats I was going to give were saving throws, skills, and the resistance immunities as well. Both of them.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
would
I
have got
would
lich from that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you'd have.
Yeah.
It's a shame, and
It's a shame.
it's a shame that Ewan was so good. You didn't get to shine.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Damn. So you had 2 free verse guests. Damn.
Finally, tying it up.
You guys were meant to make the lead bigger. Okay. Damn it.
That was some good shit.
I'm impressed.
No, I'm impressed.
I'm
I am
impressed.
genuinely. I'm impressed. I would have never done it.
Yeah, I think that actually might be the least amount of stats I've given for someone to get.
Really?
Yeah,
No,
we
no,
actually.
no.
I don't think we finished.
Aaron got it very quickly.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, he did
And what was
very
that?
quickly.
Is that the
Um,
guess?
Owlbear.
Yeah, I did the
what?
owlbear, and
Owlbear.
he got it
Oh,
like
an owlbear.
curious.
He must have got
Karen
it.
after the first set of
First.
stats. And we're talking about
Yeah, I actually think it was the first set of stats. Yeah, that's an owlbear. Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Just loves owlbear.
That's just default owlbear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Owlbear.
Go straight to owlbear every time.
It's gonna come up at some point.
Cool. Well, so moving on. How did you guys get into D&D?
It was through our good friend Matthew,
Who plays in our game still now?
Yeah, we still play with Matthew now
On a week to week, yeah.
He played it at work. He works for a game studio called Double 11.
Yeah.
And he I think just through people he worked with.
Just a bunch of other fucking nerds.
Yeah, true. I feel like that's gonna be everyone's story, right?
Yeah.
Just a bunch of fucking
But
nerds.
you know, he works in a game studio, like making like video games.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's gonna be some
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
and-
absolutely.
You know what? It came to us. It was during the pandemic,
Sadly.
and
Oh,
sadly,
wow.
yeah. And you know, I think we can all relate and say that we all were fucking having a heinous time.
Yeah.
And you know, you couldn't see your friends, so in order to be able to still kind of hang out, in a way, he was like, "How about we just try this?"
Because we tried it with him once before, years and years before, and we played one session, like half a session, we were like, nah.
Yeah.
And then it'd been like 3-4 years
yeah,
since that
it'd
first
been
time.
quite a few years.
And he
yeah.
said, should we try it again? And like when he asked, I was like, I'm the sort of person where if I'm going to do something, I need to know every single thing about it to like get interested in it. So he was like, let's play D&D. I was like, cool. Is there any things that I could watch? And he was like, well, there's a actual play called Critical Role. And I was like, oh, cool, I'll watch that. And then I watched,
And here we are.
I've now watched all 3 campaigns, and like we played his campaign for like a year and a half.
Yeah, we did.
didn't we?
Yeah, which was long for us.
Yeah,
yeah.
and we loved it.
Yeah.
And then after that, I tried to Dungeon Master, and now I'm still out of Dungeon Master.
Yeah, indeed.
So yeah, that's what we both got into it because we played together.
All thanks to one pal. Thank God
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Thank God. How about you guys?
Yeah, how
I
did
bet
you
you're
guys
gonna say
get
bunch of fucking nerds, right?
In a game studio, I introduced my mate Matthew to it.
Oh, well, I had an uncle who played, and I played Gloomhaven before. I don't know if you guys have heard of Gloomhaven. It's like another TTRPG.
I have no.
It's pretty cool. Check it out. It's on Steam. There's like a game version as well. Obviously a
sick,
real life
yeah.
version. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah, and he showed that to me, and he'd been doing D&D for ages, like 15, 20 years. He'd
Nice.
do it every Wednesday, something like that. And he told me year and a half ago, 2 years ago. No, I've not been playing for 2 years. Year and a half ago, I think. And maybe a bit more than a year and a half ago. He was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
You joined
yeah."
us in like what, about a year ago now?
I joined you guys a year ago, and I joined my first campaign a year and a half ago. But he told me to just check out online. There's groups for it. I was like, okay, cool. Went on Facebook, found a group, an American group. So I was staying up on Mondays from like 1 to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I joined Yuan's group last year, Jan. Yeah. And we've been going since. So that's how I got into it, yeah.
Yeah.
awesome.
That's cool. That's really cool. What about you, Yuan?
Friends of mine were like, "Oh, I want to try D&D," and one of them was like, "Oh, my dad used to play D&D. He has the 4th edition book, so let's just play." We did a couple of sessions, and then we were all like going off to uni, so it was like, "Okay, we should probably stop now and focus on this." And then it was second year uni, and my friends were like, "Oh, I kind of want to try D&D," and I was like, "I've played a few sessions." I'm like, "Great, you can DM," and I was like, "Sure."
Thanks for volunteering.
Obviously, they picked up 5th edition, and I was like, "This doesn't look like anything I touched." And then I've just been DMing since.
Oh, nice. Do you enjoy DMing? Are
Yeah,
you the forever DM?
I prefer DMing, yeah.
Oh, really?
Same.
Yeah.
So you basically got put into the role, and that's just kind of where you've stayed
Yeah.
then.
We are a minority, you and I.
Truly.
Yeah.
People who love to, we're just sadists basically, who just love to torture ourselves and never play.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Well, in like a few
One
months,
thing, right?
I'll be releasing Yuan off his, yeah.
You will.
his DMing roles.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Exciting.
Oh, are you going to be like the full-time DM? Are you doing something like a one shot or what?
No, I have my own campaign, but we're splitting each other into arcs. We'll be splitting each other into arcs. So when we finish the first arc, yeah, it should be good. I think I'll enjoy it.
DMing?
Second, because I did a one shot for them on the campaign. Well, technically third. There was one time really premature, like I was 3 months in to playing D&D, and I went, yeah, let's try it, and it went really bad, and I didn't touch it again.
I know. I feel you. I do. I really get that.
So are you gonna do like a continuous story where like you do an arc, Ewan, and then you do an arc, Alex? Is that gonna be a thing? You're gonna like take over from each other, or are you gonna be like separate stories?
That would be fun. But
that would be fun. No, so it's a whole different campaign. So Yuan's doing the one we're in now, Uludor, and I'm writing up a whole pirate campaign. Rules, ship combat, everything. Yeah, I've tried to get everyone to do a homebrew class, subclass, because fuck it, there's no real any pirate subclasses in D&D, so you know,
there's one.
People are gonna be like the swashbuckler, and then then what else?
I mean, it gives pirate.
Oh no, it's giving pirate.
It's giving pirate.
It's giving pirate.
Like that's one. Imagine if you had a class of just swashbuckler roles.
Yeah.
That would be just middle round. Instant nuking the enemy.
True. That's exciting though. All homebrew stuff.
That's sick.
Yeah. It's because, like Yuan, I'm addicted to lore. Like I lore dived the shit out of his campaign. He sent me them documents. I learned them in like a week. I love lore dive. Yeah, it's a lot.
Digested it immediately.
Yeah.
It must be nice to have a player who actually reads your lore.
I think we're actually quite lucky. Most of our party actually does lore dive because they find it fun, and there's so much lore.
It's very annoying.
Yeah.
No, I'm the same. I fucking love lore. Live for it, die for it.
Yeah, Margaret's a resident note taker.
Yeah.
And because obviously we live together, she gets like she gets to just ask the off the grid questions. So after the sessions, she'll come over to me and she's like, "So today,
what was that about?
What was that about?
What is that about? What does that mean?"
So she gets extra knowledge.
Yeah.
If she wants it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't take notes, which seems really weird. Yeah, I lore dive. I don't take notes. It's all in my head. All of it.
Do any of you take notes?
Yeah, everyone else does, apart from me. Yeah, I'm the only. I think I'm the only person who doesn't take notes. Like,
got you. I see.
Yeah.
Like me as a player, when I do play, on the rare occasion, I can't take notes because I can't take notes and engage. I can't take notes and listen to the Dungeon Master. I can't take notes and roleplay. I can't take notes and do combat. I can't do anything. So I have to just be like fully in it. And I'm the same. I'll usually remember most, but Margaret gets the deep cut. You know when you need that note from like 30 sessions ago to refer, and Margaret will have it.
I also write the notes that's like weird duck in pond question mark.
Yeah.
So
she also writes the most fucking random shit down as well.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a Google Doc that you can all edit? Because that's what they have.
See,
no.
Listen, I would love some shit like that.
You would be the only one.
It would be me.
It would go into it.
It wouldn't even be you. It would be me.
I can't
constantly.
I can't be giving out shit.
See, the thing is, some of our like online friends who we've met like through the community, they would say they set up like a whole Discord server for their lore, and they have like the channels for their characters, and it's. I would love that.
We would die for that.
None of my friends would.
No. I think Abby would. Abby would.
She would try
Matthew,
for me.
He would never look at it.
Yeah.
He'd never touch it.
Nope.
Never. Matthew is a extremely enthusiastic, wonderful player. Love him to bits. He's brilliant. But my campaign is called the Everflame Her Sacrifice, and basically like the gods gifted a Everflame to the world, which keeps out the dark and keeps out the monsters and the scary and stuff like that. And there was like a anagram that was TUOF, and Margaret said, "Oh, it's the Union of Flames." She like figured it out, and Matthew was like, "I don't think so. There's never been a flame mentioned in this campaign." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the shit I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
So, like, your
Oh,
lore
that's
pages,
amazing.
Matthew would be like, yeah.
Well, how do you find it, Iwan, with all of your players, barring Alex, taking notes? How do you find that, like, as the DM? Like, do you find that they solve things more often? Are they more like, conspiracy theorists if they were to not?
Yeah, but I think that's also down to me because they have to deal with prophecies, but I've given them 5 different prophecies that are marginally different. There's like a few words different, and they have to just. It's been one of my players writes a diary in character perspective. It is amazing. I love reading it after sessions because it's so well written.
I love that.
That's insane.
It's really cool.
I love that because, Abby does take notes too. She's more concise than myself.
Yeah, Abby writes notes if it's like pertinent, like if there's like a BBG monologue in, or I'm giving like a bit of a lore dive. You'll just take notes consistently
forever.
Yeah,
and it's normally myself and Abby who work out like the big plot points, right? So I was just wondering for you, like, do you find that things are not foiled but uncovered quicker because there's so many people taking notes?
Yes. Yeah, I guess so, but I say like it's fine. Like they've done the work. I'm not mad about that because
for sure,
they've earned it at the same time. And I've also
course.
ruled with like all the lore I've given them, if they remember something from the lore they've read, that's fine. I won't make them do a history check to remember that. They just know it because they've done the work themselves to remember it. But if they ask me that question, I'm absolutely making them roll for it. And if you don't get it, that's on you.
Like, to be fair, if they take the time to write down the shit that you say, and then they use that, like, that's fair.
Yeah, and they think about it and make actions on it.
That was like that to me. That's probably one of the most rewarding things as a dungeon master.
Absolutely.
Like when my players come to a conclusion through the things that I've told, I'm like, you're clearly listening, and I'm telling at least a decently cohesive story to the point where you can put those two things together, and then it just it makes the brain happy. It makes the brain do the good thing when my players are like, oh, this, and I'm like, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. Apart from Matthew.
No. He's gonna watch this and cry. We're never gonna see him again.
We're all online. They've got a chat without me that they have conspiracy chats in, which makes me very happy. I love that. That's the biggest compliment I think that I've gotten is like brainstorming and plotting.
Not only do we have a chat without him, we have chats without other players about their backstories, all right? Because, and I've said this all the time, because my character's backstory, right? He's really honest. Everyone knows it, right? Everybody else, apart from one other character, has secrets, all right? So, A, I end up messaging the other player about everyone else's backstories in session, and B, if we're going in depth on someone's backstory, it's going to the group chat, all right?
Yeah.
Because I will figure it out. Give me a few weeks. I'll do it.
God.
Yeah.
There is I feel like, because we're just in the start of like a new campaign now. We did our 10th session last night, so it's still like super new.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you would agree, but for me, one of my favorite parts is the beginning like quarter of a campaign where your characters are getting to know each other, there's secrets coming out, there's secrets still being held. You can see how like you're tied together in a way, because Jack's done an incredible job like tying us together. That's my favorite part. Being a conspiracy theorist about all of your friends is my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, we do. I think the chat as well is actually labeled conspiracy theories. It is. Yeah.
Picture of a flat earth.
Secrets though for you guys got kind of crazy because it was like 15 sessions in and you were still unsure of what everyone's race was.
Yeah.
That's how deep the secrets went.
Everyone claimed to be a half elf, and it was hell. Apart from me, I was, once again, I love my character, but if I had known there was going to be so many secrets before the campaign, I would have made secrets, all right? I can't be the only person that suffers.
No, I am so with you, Alex. I am so with you on that, because, like, to be fair, how many of you are in your? How many players is there?
5.
5 at the minute.
5. So we used to be a 3, and we've gone to a 4 in the last 2 campaigns, and half of them were so incredibly secretive
About class,
like,
race, everything.
incredibly so, and the other like. Me and Abby, we fucking blew our load in like the first couple sessions.
Because Abby just gets really excited. She's telling people what race she is, what class she is, parts of her backstory before we've even started the campaign. She's like, "I'm just so excited." And we get into the campaign, and we're like 10 sessions in, and people are still guessing what class Josh is.
Yeah.
There's just the contrast of the two.
I honestly feel like it's a fine line,
Yeah.
like for real.
As long as everybody's happy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do tend to tell everyone everything about all my about anything, things that haven't happened yet. I hint at because I just hate it. I hate it being in my brain. Yeah, like
You just get it out.
yeah. For Iwan's campaign, I have a homebrew subclass. Now we're not level 3 yet, so I haven't had the chance to tell everyone about it, which kills me on the inside.
You want to say how long we've been going, and you're not level 3 yet?
Yeah. So, by the way, I was looking at my subclass the other day. I made it on the 25th of June last year.
Oh my god.
Still haven't been able to use it.
Oh my god.
Wait, okay, all right, hold on.
When did you start the campaign?
January last year, yeah.
Over a year.
Yeah.
You know, goodness gracious me. See, you know what? We're already level 5.
When did we start? God, when did we start? I can't even remember when we started. But we're 10 sessions in and we play weekly, so we basically started 10 weeks ago. But we did start at level 3.
Yes, we did start at level 3.
We did start at level 3.
We did, to be fair.
This is the first time we've ever started not at level 1.
Yeah.
And do you think you've all enjoyed it, haven't you?
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Yeah, like basically I ran a one-shot in this world. There was basically like almost like, not a cataclysmic event, but like there was an event where meteors rained down from the sky and eldritch beings came out of the meteors and basically took this city. And in the one shot, they were like guards of like a glen around this like Mecca, this like almost like Mecca sort of capital city that is like the religious hub of the world. And they basically just fought a bunch of fucking eldritch beings, died in the cause of it, and then the campaign started where the retake was happening. So they were coming back into the city. It's been like 6 months. Nobody's been in since, and that's why you were level 3. Because I didn't feel like it was. Why would they send a bunch of level 1s into a city?
Yeah, that's fair.
It would have been like very dangerous. So that's why we started level 3.
And our campaigns are quite short as well.
In comparison to a lot of people's.
Yeah.
I potentially am very much like Alex. It eats me inside very, very badly, and I'm very excited to tell my story. And as I've gotten older as a dungeon master, as I've gotten more experience as a dungeon master, I've been able to like hold on to it a little bit more. But yeah, I think maybe like 40 to 45 sessions is my normal length.
Agreed.
So probably not even a year
Yeah.
of campaign, but they're usually quite like high pace.
Yeah.
Like there's not much like downtime and hanging around and stuff like that in mine, because that's what my players enjoy.
Yeah.
So.
And what about yours, Iwan? What is like the typical length you'd say like of one of your campaigns?
So I've been DMing for this group since about 2021. We did Lost Mines, and then we went into another homebrew of mine. I did a sort of I was really I just started watching Dimension 20, and I was like, I love this. I love the style of it. I did a fantasy high type up game. We did all that, and then at the end of it, I was like, okay, I think that was my first time homebrewing a world and sort of building off an idea to begin with, and then I went, this is my first time fully homebrewing an idea and a world myself. I think that building on what you said with the sort of the length of things and the story, I think what is going to work well for us is we're going to take a break after my arc 1 and go into Alex's, so it breaks it up nicely into we'll get a break from this world, do a bit of something else, and then come back to old characters, and it might refresh things. People are still interested.
For sure.
It 100% will, I think.
That would feel so good.
That's such a cool idea.
Yeah, that really is. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think I'll. I'm excited to DM, right? But I'm going to be sad when I can't play my character because I know I know it as well.
The NPC or something.
Everyone loves them.
Everyone loves it. Discourse around the NPC is always great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great for everyone.
But
You
the
get
thing is as well.
So
True, yeah. But because I know when finish Arc 1 is when I will be given level 3. Right, like on some level, I hope that it's sooner than that. But I just, the back of me knows that Iwan's just be like, "Oh, Alex, you get level 3 last.
Yeah.
You can suffer."
Iwan staying very quiet.
Yep.
But I'm
Not letting anything on.
I'm actually doing the exact same for my campaign. I'm starting with one shot, and that one shot will be the quest that the level 3 party as well, believe it or not, will be sent off on.
Yeah, that shit slaps. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done a one shot for them in the world to do some world building. I'm gonna run some more one shots for other people for the world I'm creating for world building. Because I love lore diving. I'm really bad at writing, so it's a bit of. I like to prefer. It just makes it easier if I make other people decide what happens for me by playing a game, right? Like it's just easier. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Play to your strengths.
Yeah, you don't have to be a good writer to first of all DM a game or like playing a game. You don't have to have that skill. Like there's so many other, like Jack said, playing your strengths.
Yeah, and I think Margaret. You loved it. Like I don't think every time we run a campaign now, I don't think Margaret will be happy unless I run a one-shot setting up the world prior.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
Because obviously they went into it with the pre-existing knowledge of what had happened to Osrendith, this city, and why they are going in, and what sort of like vibe it was, like this eldritch horror sort of vibe. And it really helped, I think, with the character creation for them all. Because it was simple. It was like, you will be a task team. Go in for whatever reason you want. You know, Abby's going in because she wants to get like lost knowledge because she's a librarian. You're going back in to find like family members and things like that. Everyone's going in for a different reason, but they built their characters around that reason and the character concepts and the role play because of that. I don't think it's ever been as good as it has been.
I agree.
Everyone's been so on point with their role play and so focused with their goals as characters because they have already been in the world.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I would always say do like if especially if you're a first time DM, do a one shot first in the world and see what people think and see if you like it and then go from there.
I fucking hate it, and you don't want to commit to a full campaign if you hate it.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah. No, my one shot was a the one I went for them was a heist, a heist on a floating island, which went well, and Yuan's character died.
Killed me.
Right at the end.
Forest man.
That's the best time. That's the most heroic death.
Had a great time. He was a great character as well.
Well, he would have survived. Basically, he made one death save. It went shit because he failed it, obviously. And then someone went to heal him, and then you rolled an @1 and you died because there was like a lot of time before when they went to heal them. So I was like, oh shit, you should probably do another death save because it's been like a while. It's been like 20 seconds. You might I've just roll one. He rolled that one. He died. I was like, oh well, that's a shame.
Man.
Oh, the most unlucky set of
Yeah, it was really bad timing.
Yeah.
Damn. What were you playing?
I was a what is it? A wild magic? No. What's the one? The barbarian that gets like claws when they rage.
Beast. The beast.
Beast.
Yeah.
Something like that.
The beast. Nah, it's beast.
Yeah, I think it's part of the beast.
Yeah, and it was like a fairy.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a great time. I had no weapons and I was just slashing stuff. It was great. I had a great time.
Yeah. Oh, I love a beast barbarian.
A massively underrated subclass.
Yeah, for real.
Because its damage
really
dice
fun.
when it gets the claws isn't massive. Everyone's like, no, fucking hell, I could be rolling a D12 with my great axe. But the action economy of it is so good.
Yeah. I think we tested it with a brand new player playing with us, and you'd set up this like brief encounter to show how to play, and this character was ripping through everything, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna up the level of this one shot.
Yeah, and then I upped the level, and I'm not even joking. They avoided every single encounter until the last one. I was so sad. So right before they got into that room, I was like, "Oh, you know what? Have another boss. You've ruined my day. Have another one."
This is what you deserve.
I mean, they cleared it. Like none of them even went. Did any of you go down? I don't think you did.
No.
Well, Yuan died, yeah, but that was like that was they escaping the island and he died. Like it was literally 10 seconds before the one shot was going to end, and he's just dead. Yeah. But I mean, I'll throw a little Easter egg in the campaign. I've said before, I'll throw Easter eggs in the campaign for their one shot characters. And I've also said if they find Easter eggs from like, so I love like anime, TV, and shit, right? A lot. I said if they find Easter eggs from One Piece that I'm absolutely throwing in the pirate campaign, being a pirate campaign. If they're going to be hard Easter eggs, I said if they find one, they can get a point of inspiration if they find it. They're never going to find it. It's going to be so hard to find. If they find it, yeah.
That's fun. Original and fun and cool idea.
Yeah, that's just
because that just like allows the players to be like on the lookout for things that they know, especially if they're fucking fans of One Piece.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Like
yeah.
that would be so cool. I know so many people who would love that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna start watching it now.
you might make it in time.
You gotta get that research in that. Whatever it is.
To be fair, I haven't watched the manga and I haven't or anything like that.
Yeah.
The anime, sorry, I haven't read the manga. Yeah, and but I did watch the live action.
Yeah.
And do you want to know
good.
what? I have it on good authority.
Big stands.
I have it on good authority from One Piece fans in the community that it was actually really good.
I liked it. Yeah.
You liked it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I thought it was fucking sick.
Yeah, I really
it was
liked
so
it.
good.
Yeah.
And like I was really skeptical. I'm a huge One Piece fan. I was really skeptical, but yes, the live action is very good.
Good.
Best live action of like an anime I've seen. So
that's what we heard. Like, honestly, that's what we heard.
You have good reason to be nervous because most of them are dog shit.
Certainly.
So like the fact that they did such a good job. Like I remember one of our friends was like the ending scene of the first one when he's like in the boat. It was like I was actually crying because it was just like it was so accurate. I was just so happy that they didn't butcher it.
Yeah.
Which is good.
That is good.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, it should be good. Yeah. So
we touched
you got
very briefly a second ago on my fairy class. What is your favorite class and subclass? They can be different.
It's a moon druid. Listen, it's a moon druid.
Yeah.
Not only is it a moon druid, it's a moon druid. Multi-class with a barbarian.
Multi-class with a barbarian.
Yes. Unkillable.
I like to be unkillable. I like to do a lot of damage. I actually learned because my last character in Jack's last campaign, she was a moon druid, multi-classed into a berserker barbarian.
The one D&D berserker barbarian,
yes,
though, because the player's handbook's one
stinks.
Too punishing, I think, with the exhaustion.
And I wasn't intending on going into barbarian. It was just kind of the path that seemed right for my character at that point because I do love multi-classing. I love the druid because I love like the transformative aspect of it. I guess I like being able to go from one state into another that gives you something completely separate.
Changes your class, basically.
Yeah. I like that actual act of doing that. And then,
just fucking loads of damage.
And then you just barbarian, and then, you can't die.
And then you basically just can't fucking die because you just get rid of one health bar, and then on the next turn, if you don't deplete the actual character's health at that point, you just fucking use your bonus action and go to the last.
Listen, she was absolutely totally OP.
Yes,
but
she was.
This was also a point in my D&D journey where I wasn't and still am not to some levels okay with my character permanently dying. And you at that point were not okay with my character not being able to not permanently die.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna have to make a fucking
I
unkillable
know.
then.
I'll just make it impossible
Ah!
to kill.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah. So that's mine. And you know what? Honestly, like between druid and barbarian, I fucking love a barbarian. I love being able to just be angry and just do more.
I get
I
it.
love
It's
that.
fun.
I really do.
Okay, look, I'm gonna have to give some honorable mentions because this is almost impossible for me because I love so many classes. My honorable mentions are the Mercy Monk because I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Monks!
The ability to just go, you're poisoned now is the best ability on earth. Gloomstalker Ranger or Horizon Walker Ranger. Love a Ranger, very good. But my heart and soul lies with a Gish character.
Yeah.
And the best Gish character in the game is the Bladesinger Wizard.
Yeah, for sure.
It is just the
I
fucking
feel like a
coolest.
Bladesinger.
Like being able, like you said, like transform your gameplay.
Yeah.
You can go from a wizard to a wizard that's got like a 25 AC. If you get crit, you're probably still dead.
Yeah.
But you know, like with 25 AC, absorbing elements and shielding and mirror imaging and being a tank with a D6 hit dice is just something that I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So any Gish character for me is cool.
Yeah, I second that. A Gish. I play a swordsman at the minute. I do love a Gish.
So good.
Yeah.
Like swordsman, being able to like sword play, be a full spellcaster, and also give out like bardic inspiration. You're just so versatile.
Yeah, that's
what I love about a class in D&D.
Agreed. What about you guys?
What do you guys? What's your favorites?
Go on, Alex.
Well, obviously monk, right? Like the reaction was clear. I love monks. The first class I played was a dragonborn monk. Well, it was a multi-class. So originally it was just a dragonborn monk, way of the ancestral dragon. So it was a dragon with a dragon. So I had like, I had like, what was it, 5 breaths before I had to rest. It was crazy. Yeah. I loved it. And then when I got higher leveled, I multi-classed into ranger. And I took the Draken Warden subclass. So I was a dragon on a dragon with dragon. It was great.
I do love a Draken Warden.
Yeah, it was great. Though that character has been killed since. Yes. So I couldn't use that anymore. Yeah, it's a bit sad. So monk has like a special place in my heart. I love, and I've talked about this before, I love martial archetypes, like martial classes, right? Because I can't fathom creativity with casting classes. I know people prefer it because there's more spells. But if there's more spells, that just means I'm only going to use spells. That's really boring in my opinion. So I just use martial archetypes, like the martial classes. Yeah. So fighter, monk. Barbarians are cool. Only use them in like one shots and stuff. Never really use in a campaign. Paladins, Baldur's Gate 3 is where Paladins is. Yeah, that's fucking insane.
We've heard that.
Yeah.
But definitely monk, and favorite subclass will probably have to be Way of the Ancestral Dragon. It just has a special place in my heart.
Do love it. I feel that.
Totally get that.
I really feel that. Yeah.
I really couldn't pick. I don't think I've played enough. I don't know.
That's also fair.
What's the favorite subclass of a player that you've had at your table then?
Yeah.
Ooh.
There's one correct answer for this, Iwan. Just letting you know.
Oh, God.
It is absolutely Goliath Rage.
Yeah! Goliath Warrior. Yeah!
Yeah. I don't know. I really like, as a DM, warlocks.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I love the patron aspect of it. I really do like a warlock.
Totally.
As a DM.
Yeah. 100%. Nothing cooler than a fucking deal with Summit.
Yeah.
Matthew's playing a warlock in mine now, and his patron is like, for me, because it's quite a dark campaign. It's quite just a dark concept of the city just been fallen. Like his patron is basically granddad. He's a genie warlock, and in this like gem that he has, he's just an old man. But he's just fucking loads of fun. He's a kleptomaniac. He loves it when Matthew's character like brings him loads of random things. He brought him a gun.
Yeah.
And he was very, very happy about that. And it's just like being able to play that, I think, as a dungeon master gives you like a way to constantly and consistently roleplay with the party, which I fucking love.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I get that. Yeah, that's definitely.
I think Iwan, you're playing a warlock in my campaign.
I am playing a warlock in your campaign.
Do you know
Yeah.
What flavor?
He's gonna write his own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Oh,
Yeah.
a seafaring lock.
Oh, could you
Yeah.
give us any spoilers?
I've had this character in mind for a while who's just like an old lady who somehow got involved, and
yeah.
is just very much like, I'm just here now.
Yeah.
One of the other players is playing my grandson. We are going to be completely different races, so we're going to have to figure out that. Like, I want it to be like obscurely different, like as different can be. Just
Yeah.
Well, I can't tell you. Well, I can tell you but I feel like if everyone else listens to it, I don't know if he'll tell everyone else's race. I don't see why he wouldn't.
I think
yeah.
Mike has told me. I just have forgotten. But I kind of want it to be, in Ice Age, the grandmother slot who worships that big whale thing.
Yes.
That's kind of the vibe I have in mind.
I like it.
So like some eldritch sea
like
being is like who she's made a pact with somehow. Who she thinks is a pet and is like feeding it, and it's like, no, it's just patron.
I love that.
That sounds so sweet.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
Just a big Leviathan next to the ship, and he's just feeding it.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
I love that.
Yeah, to actually to touch on that aspect about role playing with the parties at DM, I've actually asked everyone to, well, I've requested, and obviously if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. But I said you guys can just have a god that you worship, and you don't have to be religious, so you can speak to them and stuff. And to be fair, a lot of them have just written it into their backstory. So I'm going to just be messaging everyone what their god is saying. It is Greek gods, by the way. Because I didn't want to just come up with my own gods. So I just ran Greek gods because I like Greek gods.
That is so fucking valid.
Yeah.
Oh
And-
my god.
To decide it as well is the Percy Jackson live action was announced when I was thinking about it. So I was like, oh, well, there you go. It was either that or Norse. And then Percy Jackson came out. I was like, okay, sure.
That's the decision.
Yeah, so I think most people, I think like 3 people have got gods in their backstory to talk to. And the thing is as well, they have not chosen main gods, which makes it so much better for me because it means I can do what the fuck I want with them.
I've also not chosen a main god. I have found one now.
Oh, have you?
I don't know how to spell it. I think it's like Chemopolia. It's like a daughter of Poseidon, who's like the goddess of like storms and stuff.
Oh,
But
interesting.
Like a Pyra, I think that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
I really like I like how you have the stipulation of like, is there a god, but you don't have to be religious,
like
to,
a cleric or a paladin.
to have a god and to have
that.
like a deity.
Yeah.
Like I like that stipulation.
That's a
lot.
really, really, really cool
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, it's actually because of Yuan's campaign. This is a thing. Yeah, yeah, because he is gods, and we have obviously like paladin and cleric in our party. Say obviously, we have a paladin and cleric in our party. I'm the fighter, but just out of sole curiosity and being told to, I started praying to people, and then I was the first person out of all the religious people to speak to a god. And then I was like, "This is fun. Let's just make everyone speak to gods because it's fun." Like, fuck yeah.
And so right, it is fun.
So much world building that you're creating there by like, Ewan's gone out and picked up a really obscure daughter of Poseidon, and it's like, okay, well, there's another god that's going to be part of, like, a prevalent part of my campaign. That's world building that your players have done that you don't even have to do.
Yeah,
which is great.
And you get to have those kind of like one-on-one conversations. Like if you and your players want it, you can have those like one-on-one conversations that make them feel more connected to the world and to their gods. And listen, everyone loves their 5 minutes of being able to talk to their god.
100%.
Everyone loves that shit.
Love that moment.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
There's something that I'm wanting to do is why I'm going to be leveling. I know people are sort of delicate about this, but I'm leveling them to level 3 differently because they're each going to get a little subplot getting their subclass. Because I think that makes more sense. Because I mean, you can get a fighter that goes from being a fighter to being an Eldritch Knight, and is suddenly firing off spells. And it's like, I like the idea of there's a reasoning in them getting their subclass,
Yeah,
rather than
for
just
sure.
one day being able to do it. But
Yeah,
they're going
and
to get like
I
a
love
little.
you know, you kind of led there with being like, I know people have something to say, but like we are firm believers of if your table enjoys it,
Yeah,
if that's how you enjoy
absolutely.
it, if that's how all your players enjoy it, then do whatever the fuck you want.
And also, it doesn't fucking matter what anyone else
Yeah,
thinks.
because they're not playing your game.
As long as you're having fun
Yeah.
and your players are having fun.
All that
This is what
matters.
we always say, because we do videos like unpopular opinions and horrible house rules, and before we do any of it, we always put the disclaimer in. It's like, if any of these house rules work for you, if these opinions work for you, doesn't matter what we say.
Yeah.
As long as everybody's having fun, as long as everybody's like on the same level and everyone's safe, and it's not like a hateful like opinion or a hateful fucking like house rule that you've got, then like doesn't matter what anyone says, as long as you are having fun and as long as it works for your team.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
So we asked you lot this question a few days ago. We told you we're going to ask, and the time has come.
Here we go.
Yeah.
love
Good job
this
we came
bit.
50 minutes in, because Margaret's still been thinking about it for the last 50 minutes.
So, yeah, a time where you guys have had like a really good moment as a DM, good moment as a player, both. Someone else's good moment, just a good moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
You want me to go first?
You go
Okay,
first.
I think I'm gonna know. For me, so I used to be in a band. I used to be like a lead singer of a band, and we used to play a lot of shows. And like, I was the singer, I was the front man, and like, I've always been, like a theater kid. I've always been a musician. I've always been somebody who's like very confident, and I like to be, center stage. I'm not trying to like hog the. That's just where I thrive.
Yeah, it is.
So like being a player, obviously I loved it because I still wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons. I still had an interest. But as soon as I sat down at the table and was like telling a story and describing things and role playing like big plot hooks for my party, like I just love feeding off energy and like performing, basically. Like I get a big kick out of being a performer. So as a dungeon master, I think the first time I sat down and performed for my party in the first ever session I did, and realized that I was getting the same kick that I was getting off being on stage in front of people, just really like married me to being a dungeon master forever, I think. And I think that's probably the first session ever for me was the one I'll always remember.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I think so. It was transformative for me. I was like, oh my God, I can still get this like performative kick out and like have that itch scratched in my life by Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Which was just like,
yeah,
for me. So that's probably mine, I would say.
Yeah.
What about yours?
Well,
Time's up now. Come
time's
on.
up. I'm gonna take a phone call.
Sorry, guys.
So I weighed it up between two, but this is a surprise, a bit of a long one, but it was actually how our second campaign, the one we just played before this, how that all concluded. To give you some, context to why it felt so good, the whole campaign was based around, it was Norse mythology, and it was all based around how at first we learnt that Tyr was chained in like a different realm, and then the children of Loki were basically wreaking havoc. They were supposed to be chained, they were being released, and as the campaign went on, we learnt that their mother, Angerboda, the wife of Loki, all she wanted was to release her children. And we found out just through story beats, through NPCs, that Angerboda belonged to a race of people. What were they called? The
Jotnar.
The Jotnar. And it turns out that what's the dude? Odin had
What's the
The important one.
It's Odin.
that guy.
It turned out that herself, her family, her whole people had been betrayed basically by Odin. He had promised them this new life, this new world if they married the two realms together, and they were essentially abandoned. And not only were they abandoned for a reason that we didn't know at the time, her people were cast off. They were sent away from their home and their land, and they'd lost everything. And we went from viewing this race of people and Angerboda as, you know, the baddies, right? We'd seen them as these selfish people who were impatient and wanted to come back. And then the script was flipped to, well, they were just people existing and they lost everything and they were actually given a really bad hand. And the whole campaign accumulated with us facing Angerboda, right? Mm-hmm. She had found Odin. She was on the verge of ending Odin, and we were actually given a choice. Do you either let her kill him
for his crimes,
because what he had done to these people was horrible for whatever reason he had, and he did have a reason, but it was still bad. Do you let her kill him, or do you stop her? And by stopping her, you kill her. Ultimately, our characters decided to stop her and kill her.
The choice was that, like, they either both die, because she was basically in self-destruct mode. So it was either they both die, or just she dies and he lives. Mm-hmm. And that was like, you can basically let him die or save him. Yeah. That was the choice.
Yeah, and we chose to save him. And then the campaign ended basically with Angerboda died, but when she died, she was kind of freed of all of this hate and this this vengeance she needed to get. And the scene was literally, we all cut to being in this like tall like field of golden grass, and the sun was shining, and Angerboda was sat in the middle, and our characters just went and sat with her, and she was watching her 3 children and her husband playing, and it was very much a redemption in the end. It was, yes, okay, we didn't save her, but we saved her from herself, and it was just a really poignant moment. The scene will always stick in my head. And then kind of fast forward a little bit, one of our players, Matthew, who played Hermeta, he had he wanted to die with Valhalla, right? He wanted to go to the halls of Valhalla and dine with Odin. And actually, when that was finished, when we had done that with Angerboda, he had said, I can die now. And Odin was very much like, your time will come. Fast forward to the end of the campaign, we all do our wrap-up stuff. And Hermeta actually asks my character, Rayla, he's old, he's sick. He asks her to kind of do the final, kill him. He wanted to die valiantly to...
the greatest warrior he ever met was what he said.
Yeah.
Which was him.
And she did. She killed him.
Yeah.
And the whole campaign ended. The whole thing ended on the scene of Matthew's character finally getting into Valhalla. And he sat at the Great Hall, and he sat at this table with his family that had long passed, the spirits of Angerboda's children and Angerboda and Odin. And Odin just raises his glass to him, and he says, right on time. And it ended there.
Damn.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
Damn.
Oh my god.
Damn.
That's
I
amazing.
I got through all of that without weeping.
Margaret was in the car earlier, and she was like, I really want to tell the end of campaign 2, Jack, but I'm afraid I'm going to cry.
Wow.
Oh, that's
brilliantly.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
It was such a powerful moment. For all of our characters, it was a powerful moment. How Angerboda's story ended, it wasn't this, oh, she bad person, she dead now. It was, who's the bad guy? There's no...
Odin was bad.
You're always the bad guy to someone else.
She was bad. There was many bad. It was just like, when does the cycle of being bad stop?
Yeah.
Like, we can just keep fucking, like, getting vengeance on people, and we can still, like, one-up each other to be like, I could be worse than you. I could do something more hateful than you can, if that's the way we want to fucking keep going. But it's like, you basically stop the book. You were like, the book stops here.
Yeah, the cycle ends here.
Yeah, like, and, she thanked you for that.
And she was also welcomed into the halls of Valhalla, and it was a very powerful moment.
Yeah.
Damn.
So,
wow.
Sorry, I was speaking for an incredibly long time there.
No, that was amazing.
It's fine.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
No, it was beautiful, and well done to Jack. It was
Yes, massive. Yeah, that's
Yeah. did you like rework the whole of like Gigantomachia? So I sat there the whole time. I was thinking, yeah, I know a lot about Norse mythology. Like, did you rework? Or did you guys like go the whole campaign through Gigantomachia? I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, to be honest, but yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah.
Which one is this?
It's when in Norse mythology that Thor killed all of the giants, basically, minus like, I'm gonna say Loki.
So I didn't do that. I did a bunch of research into like what's it called, the Prose Edda and the other one. There's basically two. There's not a huge amount of like actual written knowledge on Norse mythology. I did as much as I wanted to, and I had an idea of a campaign. And for me, like probably with you going into like Greek mythology, like I'll take what I need for it to work for me and to work for my campaign, but I am more than happy because Abby was a big Norse mythology buff, and I was like, I'm going to just tell you before the campaign starts, like, you're going to hear names, you're going to hear places, you're going to hear, like, all of these things, but just, like, maybe forget some bits that you've known because it's not going to follow it perfectly canon.
Yeah.
But I just had this, I don't know what it was. Basically, they needed, the children of Loki needed to be like banished from the realm before they became too dangerous, which, you know, is canon law for Odin. You know, he sees fucking Fenrir getting far too powerful and he's like, nah, not having this, gonna chain him up. And that idea of the chains, basically he sent them away, and Tyr, they like, all of the gods gave their strength to Tyr. They all ascended into like Valhalla to like get away because they were weak from like that ritual. And he basically had a chain around his right arm, a chain around his left arm, a chain around his midriff, and he was just holding the children of Loki in Vanaheim, and that was like the whole thing. And like that God-given strength was supposed to be able to be enough for them to just like wither away and die in Vanaheim. But Angerboda feigned death, and she feigned killing herself, and basically found a way to feed them strength through belief, through people who were sick of like the gods and things like that. And they would be like sacrificing people, anything that they could find, to the children of Loki. They were gaining strength. They brought down Tyr, and then she brought them all into Midgard. And then she was like, right, that's it. Let's go and kill Odin now. And basically that was like the whole like story loop.
Yeah. Yeah. It was incredible. Really good.
Damn. Yeah, that is cool. I love Norse mythology. So just hearing that, I was like, yeah, this sounds so cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
What about you guys? We can't tell you ours, and you can't not tell us yours.
Oh,
God, I've got to have a think now.
Yeah. So this is how it feels.
It's not
because we've talked about like some of our favorite moments in the campaign.
Yeah.
That's probably that's probably easier. I think honestly for me, I think one of my favorites was just last like Monday when I sent you to. So I've made them gods it sounds crazy, but they're gods in like a bag of holding that is just for rats, and they were collecting rats with like infinite food.
Right.
They put in this huge rat who's called Gorlock. And now there's a whole culture inside, and they're worshipped as like the divines.
Oh, that's
they were sent into the world, and now they're these like gods in the pack, and they were finding out what they were gods of, and obviously some of them were very unhappy about it because it had like stained glass windows of like life events for them that they didn't want to remember, and they were like, "Why the hell are they here? How the hell do you know this?" And it was I just had a great time DMing that. That was just, I think. But I will always think the last session was my favorite.
Yeah. No, 100%. And that's a good sign that you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think. This is actually tough because
I know we put you on the spot here. I'm sorry.
Usually, I say there was this interaction we had once where this joke came about of double elves and half elves and elves, right? Because everyone said they're half elf. My character, I play as an idiot. Like I play him as like he is so stupid. He's got -1 intelligence, but I play him really dumb. Yeah, so I was talking to the paladin who's like his friend in the game, and then people were like, "Oh, I'm a half elf," and then I said to him whilst we were both going to the toilet at the same time, I was like, "Yeah, I'm like double the half elf size. Am I not an elf then?" And he was like, "Yeah, that might be true." And then one of the other characters, was like, "Yeah, but I'm an elf and I'm not double their size." I was like, "Oh, so I'm a double elf then. It makes sense. And that's been like written in lore, like it's canonical. That exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always the best shit, man.
Yeah. That's like probably my favorite moment of this campaign. My favorite moment of D&D is like from when I started would have to be so my other campaign on the Mondays as well, the one I started in.
Yeah.
I have been missing a few sessions because obviously can't stay up really late anymore. Sometimes like it's just life and whatever. But
Old man.
yeah. So when my character died, firstly I was really sad, but I didn't have the energy to be too sad because it was 5 a.m. So I was just like,
there truly is. You either give it your fucking all now.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like close to falling asleep, and then it was really unlucky how I died as well. But yeah, so I died, and then I woke up. I was like, oh shit, I'm actually dead. I've got to make a character. Well, yeah. Well, I had backup characters anyway, so it was alright. I've just got to make backstory. But then the best moment came like 3 sessions later. So I'd introduced my new character. We had like 2 sessions, and then there was like a time skip because we develop in the city we were in. When I came back to the session after a 6-month time skip, they put up a statue of my character in the sea.
Sick.
And I was like, wow. Yeah, I was like, okay, cool.
Goodness.
Yeah, I was like, okay, shit. That is sick. Yeah, so that's probably my favorite moment, like a whole statue.
Yeah, that I'd be crying.
Yeah.
There'd be tears.
Easy
that's
tears.
really nice. I love that. I feel like being able to commemorate a character like that as well, and like not just you guys, not just the party, for like, you know, the world on a whole or wherever you were, to be able to commemorate like that. That's very sweet.
That's really nice.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think. I was a bit touchy. I was a bit sensitive, so I refrained from speaking for a minute. I was just like, ooh, wow, because
here and breathe.
Because
it dawned to me as well. I was like, oh, my character's actually dead. I can't play him anymore. And it also meant that my little Drake was left alone. Yeah. Luckily, my new character has adopted that Drake, so I still have it. Yeah.
Killed me off.
Yeah. No, that's definitely one of my favorite moments. And I've said to you, Anne, before, if my current character in his campaign, Dan, if he were to die, I don't know if I had the mental ability to stay in that session. I think I'd cry. Like, I'd straight up. I am invested into this character. Yeah.
Dan is great.
Could right now.
I could cry right now. I could cry right now.
Any moment.
Your poor little Drake. Certainly. Like in terms of things like character death, how do you guys like
deal with it?
Yeah, how do you deal with it? Character death.
So I've always said that in terms of I've got quite a few players who are quite knowledgeable in D&D, especially one of them, Michael, is also a DM. So I've said that if a character death does happen, I would pause the session then and there, and I would be like, "Can you, Michael, help me go back and look at everything we've done to make sure every rule was run correctly?" Because I would hate for someone to then have that character death, and like we then realize, oh, I ran that rule wrong, or that rule wasn't ran correctly.
Yeah. Oh, that's good of you.
Just to make sure that everything is right. Yeah. I don't like the idea of it being like a Revivify time runs out. I would then give that person an opportunity to finish, I guess, in that moment, have that dialogue with their character, finish it off, have that interaction. Because there's nothing worse than, oh, you're just dead now, sit there quietly.
Just a dead body on the floor, baby.
That is the worst. I think I would never run it like that, but it's have that, in a way, round out the character quicker than you would like, but in a way that is still satisfying.
Yeah, for sure. Like, do you guys like run like Revivify rules or anything like that?
I have changed things because I don't like the idea of it being 300 gold because just to bring a diamond back to bring. I like the idea of I've said before, like a memory thing. I'm not quite sure how to run it, but a character sacrifices a memory of that person because then it becomes a role play scenario of the other characters talking about a favorite memory with the dead character. and then they lose that memory.
Oh man, that would kill me off. God, that gives me goosebumps then.
I think that's how I would like to do it, but figuring out the mechanics of that would be is what I'm struggling with at the minute.
Yeah,
that would
luckily
be
we've
scenes. Oh man,
how do you guys run, or do you avoid sort of character death?
No, we don't. I am very much, to me, as a dungeon master, like, I've got to have fun as well. And like, I love running like tough combats. Like, I will make sure that most of my combats are tough, to the point where, they can be deadly and characters can die.
Yeah.
Last campaign we did have 3 deaths, but I do just run optional revivify rules where you can, like, the critical role Matthew Mercer, people can help with the ritual. It can lower the DC. We leave it to the dice to decide if you come back or not. And at the beginning, I was very much like, death has to be an option, because then what's the point in combat? And
I agree.
I think what I actually meant was something needs to be lost, something needs to be at stake, otherwise what is the point?
Yeah.
So because I play with different people, like, for me, I understand that, like, Josh and Matthew, if their characters died, it would probably be like okay, it happened, I'll make a new character. But for Abby and Margaret, like, they invest so much into their characters. They, like, live and breathe their characters, artwork of their characters. Like, they think about what's going to happen to the characters after the campaign. If I was just to be like, that's it, dead and gone, to them, I feel like they would... Well, Margaret's last character in the last campaign, she made it unkillable almost, because she was so worried of it dying.
Yeah.
So when Abby died late in the game,
died,
failed the revivify. The DC was 6 and she rolled a 5. And she died. Like, literally, we were about to go to
the last fight.
We were about to go to Valhalla and basically march onto, the halls of Valhalla where Odin was, to have that last fight with Angerborder.
There was like 2 sessions left of the whole game.
She died in the fight with Fenrir, and basically, I said to her, like, look, I don't want you to die at this point, because there is literally no point bringing a new character in with like 2 or 3 sessions left. That would just feel turbo bad for everyone at the table. You, me, all your friends that want to, like, have this last fight with you. So it was, what can she lose? What can we lose narratively where it's still going to be important to you? So basically, she was a vampire, but she had found a way to, like, quell the thirst of vampirism. She'd found a way to, like, push it back. And there was a vampire hunter earlier in the campaign that wanted to kill her. He realized that she wasn't dangerous. He died. She turned him. She brought him back to life. And they were basically going to go around the whole of Midgard, giving vampires the choice. You either get your thirst quelled or you die by our hand because you're dangerous. And in that moment, she was like, well, I've set up this entire campaign to fucking go around with Vinriel, the Blood Hunter, and do this thing. Could he take my place? And I was like, sounds good to me. So he basically came up and said goodbye to everyone. He, like, said his farewells. He laid down next to her.
Cried.
There was obviously the switching places. She came back to, like, finish the fight, because he knew, like, I'm not as good of a fighter as her. I can't go to Valhalla with a group and fucking do this. She needs to go. So I was like, okay, well, what we're going to do is, after my next campaign, or like when we take a break or something, we're actually going to run a one-shot where we go to the Keeper of Souls or whatever and bring back Vinriel.
Yeah.
So it's like, nice. We're going to have a one-shot in that world where we go and get back this guy who sacrificed himself for Abby's character. And it's just like, that sounds way better than Abby just dying. Like, that's a bit more fun.
Yeah, for real.
For real. So yeah, I think death just being dead and that's it. If you've got players that enjoy that, fair.
Yeah,
because I know that there is players out there that enjoy that.
Some players are just like, yeah, cool, dead.
Yeah, dead.
Hey, I got backup characters. I can go.
I deserve it. Fuck me, am I right? Some people don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's why they play the game. But some people, that's not what they want. And I'm easy. If you just want to die, fine. If you want to just lose something in place, like a memory, like Ewan said, like an NPC, like something, you've given up something, I'm fine. As long as death has some weight, I don't care.
For sure.
That's all I do.
Yeah.
So I think that leads me nicely into the next little section. So we used to do a homebrew rule that is like so commonly used that it's basically become raw. I've actually run out of. I'm struggling to find ones that are commonly used. So I've looked for questions, and one I found a lot online this week was someone asking, "How do you use power word kill against the player?" And when I heard that question, I immediately had two thoughts, and I'm just curious to see if you, Jack, had have the same ones that I did.
Okay, go on.
Mine was, if you're asking that question, you're not ready to run a power word kill.
Okay.
But first, it was just do it. Like if you're wanting to use it, just do it.
Yeah. So to me, like, again, I think what you need to do to run power word kill is think about basically everything we just talked about. Like, what's going to happen when they do die? Because I think the danger of combat and the danger of someone being able to just be like, dead.
You're dead.
And you're dead.
Yeah.
Like, that excites the fucking shit out of me as a dungeon master. And that would excite the fuck out of my players.
Yeah.
I know if I did that, you'd all look at each other and go,
it would be a mad scramble. Yeah.
Like these like finger of death, like if it reduces you to 0 hit points, dead.
Disintegrate.
Yeah. You're ash and dust, you're gone. Like, these things are exciting because they build tension. So I think for me, if you want to do it, but be ready to understand what's going to come after. Understand that, like, is everybody ready to deal with death? Is everybody ready to deal with character death? Like, do they understand what's going to come after? Because that's really fucking important when you're running, like, hard combats, I think.
Yeah.
That also comes back to what we talked about in our, I guess, we had our introductory talk where we were discussing what we were going to talk about in sort of like the importance of a session 0 and making sure that everyone at the table is sort of like feels included and is listened to essentially, and I guess is comfortable at the table, which is something we spoke about wanting to sort of talk about and express opinions
for sure.
on.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll let you take it.
Me?
Me?
Oh my goodness,
me?
Me?
Me over here? Yeah, you go for it.
You know, it's no secret. We are huge advocates for session 0s, right?
Yeah, big time.
Like, especially if you're playing with people you've maybe not played with before, people you haven't played with in a long time. Like, you know, we haven't had a proper session 0 since like the last campaign because it's just the same people every single time. Granted, Jack goes in and he checks with people and makes sure that there's like nothing has changed, if that makes sense, in terms of like, is there something you don't want bringing up, is there things that you don't want me to touch on? But you know, on a more mechanical level, like you said, having the rules for death set out like from session 0 so everyone knows, like at that point, if people aren't comfortable with it, they can talk to their DM and see if there is something that can be worked out, or they know that that's just maybe not the right table for them. You know, like setting out rules like that, like, oh my god, rules like, what do we do if someone can't turn up? Like, we all know scheduling's the BBEG of D&D.
Big time, 100%.
That's how it is. We're all old and we're all busy and it's hard. So what do you do when someone can't make it? You know, what is people comfortable with? What are people not comfortable with? Like, that's session 0s are so important in my opinion.
And like the thing, I may get a little ranty here, so tell me if I get a little ranty.
Mute him.
No, go for it.
Like, there used to be, and I think I don't know if it's a generational thing or just like the times be changing, but like people used to be like, oh, if you run a session 0, you're a fucking snowflake, and like all this like bullshit. And I don't understand personally where that comes from, because all you're doing is we've all lived a life. We've all been through different things. Alex has lived a life, Ewan's lived a life, Margaret's lived a life, I've lived a life, but we've all lived completely different lives. What might matter to you, what might upset you, what might trigger you, might not be something that upsets or triggers me. Me just knowing that, like, we come to D&D to have a good time and have a fun time. Why would I ever want to bring you to Dungeons & Dragons for me to trigger you, upset you, make you have a shit time? I don't turn my PC on and just play a game that I fucking hate. Like, I turn my PC on to play a game that I love. I come to Dungeons & Dragons to play a game that I love. If a session 0 is to make sure that we're all going to have a good time together and we're all not going to have a bad time together. That's all a session 0 needs to be. It doesn't need to be anything more or less than that.
Yeah.
And the people who have beef with session 0s, in my opinion, are fucking stupid.
I know, I completely agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
There it is.
That's it. Like, it's a simple thing. It needs to be nothing more. It's just like, we're just doing it to make sure everyone's just going to have a good time.
Yeah,
Because that's
yeah.
all we want to do. We don't
Yeah.
block out 4 or 5 hours to just have a bad time.
Yeah,
together.
true.
What would be the point?
Yeah, at least we fucking shouldn't.
we got to work for that shit.
Yeah.
This isn't.
Yeah.
That's not why we do that shit.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
I think as well, being an only online player currently, I think session 0 is really important to get to know people. If you've joined a new campaign, online especially, obviously in real life, like it just might be random people, but more time than not, it's probably like a friends of friends, right? So you might know them. But online, when you join a campaign, it's very likely you don't know a single person.
Yeah, for
there.
sure.
And all you talk to is the DM. So session 0 is really important to get to know people, because you could hear this like really cool campaign, be like, yeah, let's join. They don't do a session 0, but you're like, whatever, cool, fine. And then you go into session 1, and then you realize, oh, this campaign's good, but I don't like some of the people I'm playing with, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god, 100%.
Like, that would just ruin it. Like, for my session 0 with Iwan, when I first joined the group, so I was new. I think one other new person, maybe. I might be wrong. Was there another new person?
God, I'm trying to think back. I don't know. I think it was just you.
It was just me. It was just me, completely new.
Just you.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we had one other new person.
Yeah. So, I'm fine with people. So, like, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll figure it out. Like, I'll join, or I'll talk to them a bit, it'll be fine. But, like, I know that other people, if you went into a campaign without session 0 and didn't get to know people, I think that they would struggle to play their character, because the only reason I can play my character like I can is because I got to know everyone in session 0. Definitely. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how because you get a gauge on how people like react to. Yeah, it's like how people would react to my character. Like, if I knew everyone was really serious, my character would be serious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, 100%.
Tone of the campaign.
Oh my god, well said. Yeah.
If I knew everyone was like down for fun, which they are, and it's great, then my character's not too serious. He will have serious moments, but it's more relaxing that I don't have to be serious 100% of the time.
Yeah.
With my character and stuff. So I think that's
I feel you.
Yeah. That's why I definitely think session 0 is really important, because you have to get to know the vibe of the party. And you can also sort out like small things with your character with the DM and stuff. Like, session 0 is just a good thing to have. I see no reason in not having it. It's just like
it can literally just be like, if it's IRL, order some fucking pizzas and get some drinks in and just hang out.
Roll your stats. And talk about what you're gonna play, and like we can go over like different campaign settings could bring in like different homebrew rules. Like maybe it's like a more of a gritty, realistic campaign, so we'll do like some homebrew rules for that. Maybe it's just more of a stupid fun time, so we're a little bit more lax, so we'll take these rules out. But like having a session 0 to like go over those things and be like, these are the homebrew rules, so we get into the game. It's like we've done remember that story that we did where it was like my dungeon master never told us about this homebrew rule until the moment I cast Divine Intervention, and I rolled my D100, achieved Divine Intervention, but my dungeon master was like, no, actually, that's not how it works in my game. And it's just like, what fun good's that? I've already rolled it and I've already achieved it, and now you're changing it a year into the campaign. It's just like these are things that need to be done before we even start playing.
Yeah, for sure. And like, don't get me wrong, you can still have a session 0 and like get to meet people, and sometimes the first impression you have of someone is going to change, right? You can still get into a game after having session 0 and be like, I actually fucking really don't vibe with these people. But you gave yourself the best chance to with the session 0.
100% the benefit of the doubt with the session 0.
Like, sometimes tables just aren't right for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes your players are not right for you. Sometimes your DM's not right for you. And that's so fucking normal. I think that's something that isn't said enough in D&D, is that like sometimes like the people you play with, there's no other reason that you don't want to play with each other other than you just don't like playing with each other.
You just don't like playing with each other.
It's so normal.
Yeah. I do think people feel like they're indebted to finish the campaign. But like
Yeah.
personally, if I didn't like a campaign, I would just leave. Like I've done it
Same.
before.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna be honest.
yeah.
I've done it before.
Good.
But-
Can you
yeah.
imagine forcing yourself to like have like the time commitment to something like a long game of D&D,
like a year long that you just didn't like,
and not enjoying it or the
Oh
people
my
you're with?
God,
Like
could
that.
you
That fucking sucks for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess on the flip side of that, not to get too much into what exactly happened, but we recently took 2 players. Well, I say recently, potentially took 2 players out of our campaign.
Yeah.
But I think the change, like, not saying that anything was wrong with it at the time. There were some people came to me and were like, we feel like overspoken and like we're being like pushed to the side by these players. So I took it to them and things happened there. But I think the change in just the general vibe, and some players have come so much more out of their shell. Mike being one of them is
Oh yeah, 100%.
so much more talkative now, so much more
Yeah,
engaged
yeah.
in the campaign, and it's been amazing. And it's like sometimes I guess it's much easier for me as a person who plays purely online with people I don't know to
Yeah.
be like, it's an awkward conversation, but I
Yeah.
don't have to deal with them in my everyday life, and I am so, in a way, glad that I have that, and
Definitely.
I'm very much thankful I don't have to deal with people in my everyday life and removing them from a campaign, because that is stress that I think if you can do that, amazing, and it does need to be done sometimes.
It
But
does.
if that's something you can do, absolutely, I have more power to you for that, because I would struggle with that.
Yeah, like first of all, good on you, and good on your players for coming to you and being like, "We
Yeah,
feel like
absolutely.
this." By the way, like
Yeah.
they obviously trust you, and
Enough
the fact
to
that
do
you
that, yeah.
have enough communication between yourselves to be able to do that. So that's a green flag.
That's really good on you.
Yeah.
To make sure that that open line of communication is there for them, to let them know that they can come to you.
Yeah, and to
is,
listen to them.
is actually a big thing that I think not every dungeon master does too.
For sure. And you say it was like it was an awkward conversation and it was horrible, and it always is, right?
It's never nice.
Yeah, it's not
never
fun.
nice, but I am also a firm believer of man, yeah, having to do it with like IRL with people maybe like you encounter in your like everyday life outside of D&D. That is hard, but I'm also a firm believer of like things can just not be right, and you can not want to play D&D with someone but still want to be their friend.
Yeah.
Like those two like are not mutually exclusive to one another.
Not at
And
all.
I'm also a believer of if you are honest with someone and you communicate with them honestly, non-defensively, non-aggressively, and you level with them, if there's any hostility from that, then that's a fucking them problem, not a you problem.
Yeah.
You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Like, yeah, I totally agree with that, especially the point that you made about like you can be like best friends with somebody
Yeah.
even, but when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons is such a, I say Dungeons and Dragons, TTRPGs are such a specific thing. Like role playing and combat and things like that are something that you would never get an inkling of how somebody would do that in real life.
Yeah.
So you could be best friends with somebody and know somebody like as a complete stranger, get together and actually enjoy playing Dungeons and Dragons with the stranger more,
Yeah,
because they just play
certainly.
the game the same way that you do.
It's
Like,
a very intimate thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It's
It
a very
is.
personal thing. So
It
like,
is.
just because you are friends with somebody doesn't mean that they are going to be
Yeah.
to play Dungeons and Dragons with. I
Yeah,
don't
for
think.
sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true,
Definitely.
true.
Yeah, but good on you. Good on you for
Yeah.
doing that. And I'm glad that your players feel better for that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Well, it made the dynamic better. To be fair, I do agree with
Good.
that. It was nice.
But-
Everyone started like fucking speaking more.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
What
my
about
character
you?
speaks a lot anyways, so I was speaking about the same. Yeah, give or take.
On that one. I'm with you on that one. Sometimes someone's vibe is just not fucking right.
True.
And the matter of the fact is they have to leave the game. And that's no one's fault.
No one's.
It's simply just vibes.
Just is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Have you guys actually personally ever had your own like encounters or horror stories or like anything bad that happens D&D related to you lot? Whilst your career in D&D, I guess.
So, like, we've really just played with like our first group was like me, Margaret, Matthew, and some other people, and then that quickly evolved into the group that we have now.
Yes.
There was like a few different tables and stuff like that. The one that I mentioned the other day, like that just comes straight to mind. is Matthew was our first ever dungeon master, and we tried to play D&D with us, and then a couple of people who were like, yeah, we'll play whatever, that's cool.
Yeah, and his like first like serious campaign,
his first ever serious campaign, and we were in like there was like a thing that had recurred. There was like this green liquid that had come up really early in the campaign, and then it had just come up in like a dungeon.
A story beat.
A connective, like, oh, this and this, they're the same thing. Oh my god, we're like telling a story. And I was like, oh, sick, this is like connected. Matthew's like telling a story. This is really cool. And one of the other players literally just out loud in front of Matthew, in front of the rest of the table, just went, it's just shit storytelling, isn't it?
Oh,
and we were all like,
see, I fucking don't remember this at all.
But we mentioned it.
We talked to him last night about it.
Because we played last night, and I was like, do you remember this, Matthew? And he was like, yeah, I was so fucking pissed off. I was like, I'm not even remotely surprised to just say that out loud in front of your dungeon
fucking
master.
Rude as fuck.
That you think it's
awful.
It's just wild.
That is a fucking that is like a shot to the chest.
That is horrible.
That's horrid.
That is so bad.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of like, so I wouldn't even say that this is a horror story. And like, yes, of course, there has been like negative things.
You're about to flame me.
People. Yeah. Oh my god, this like, of course, there's been like negative things that have happened, but like the one that stands out to me is we I'm sure you guys know this. When you first start playing D&D, all you want to do is play D&D.
All you want to do. You want to be in 46 campaigns.
Yeah.
Just cram it into me. Just inject it into my veins. That's all I want to do.
Yep. So we were going through one of them, and much like you, Alex, we went on a Facebook group and we found a group like locally, a local group. So we were like, huzzah!
Huzzah!
And you know what? The weirdest thing was we met up with them. We had like a few meetings. So I do want to preface, they were kind of like 3.5 enjoyers.
Yeah.
But
okay,
we were so new to the game, we didn't really understand, we say 3.5 enjoyers to you, and you can get a picture of how they liked to play. Because we were so new, and Matthew was our first DM, and he fucking spoiled us. Like, we didn't know that there was a distinction. So we met up with them. I do want to say, incredible people.
Yeah, really nice people.
Really nice people. But we met up with them. A couple red flags. One of them being, I was going to be a wood elf. And I wanted to have ginger hair.
Not wrong with that.
And the guy was like, well, that's ridiculous. A wood elf would never have ginger hair. They would have black hair only. I've ordered you a mini and she has black hair. And I was like, all right. You know, when you just want to do something, you don't see the red flags.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So, to piggyback off that, I was playing a dwarven rune knight fighter, and I was like, I won't like, because we don't mind doing like character voices. It's a good distinguisher, especially like at the table, to be like, I'm talking in my character, I'm not. It's not a mandatory at our table. I don't give a fuck, as I care more about you acting as your player than talking in the voice. That's not a big thing. But I like to put on voices and stuff like that. And I was like, I can do a good Scottish accent. I was like, just so you know, I'm gonna do a Scottish accent, so it's not a surprise at the table. And he was like, no. And I was like, what do you mean no? And he was like, you have to have a Norse accent because that's just how it is. And I was like, I can't really do a Norse accent. And he was like, well, look, you can do a Scottish accent. You can do a Scottish accent, but everyone will think you're dumb, and I'll probably have to reduce your intelligence score. And I was like,
oh,
okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, wow. That's...
Unbelievably, we were like,
like, let's play.
Let's do it.
Like, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm in. Count me in. So we met up with
played
them.
one session.
Well, we met up with them like a few times, and the vibes fucking great. The
Good
vibes
fun.
were really good. And then we got to the game, and then all of this shit that was never discussed. Like, I don't know if you guys do encumbrance, but he ran encumbrance, and we don't like encumbrance.
We don't like encumbrance, especially when you have to say you drop your pack before the combat starts, and if you don't say it before the combat starts, you have to use your action to drop your pack, and if you don't, you have half movement.
Yeah,
it was just like,
yeah, no, we
you didn't tell me this before the game. You literally told me this as I've turned up and as combat started.
So we had to sit there, and we had to like write down all of our encumbrance and get our calculators out and do all this, and then like I don't know. It immediately, because none of that was got, because we didn't have a proper session 0. We just met up for some milkshakes.
For some vibes.
Yeah.
Vibe check.
When we actually got into game, we realized that it was fucking absolutely certainly nothing that we wanted to
Nothing that
play.
we're interested in.
And then that was the one session, and that was it.
That
So
was
it's
it, yeah.
hey, it's not really a horror story, but I feel like it happens to people more often than not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
that
will
was-
say, if people are looking for a group on Facebook, the Dimension 20 fan pages, I've advertised there multiple times for players, and never, like, I've had some amazing people from there, because it's
Really?
sick.
diverse people. There's, like, I think Dimension 20 do such a great job of having a diverse cast, having
For
such
sure.
a variety of people,
Yeah.
that the fans are just great. I've got so many, like, my entire Wednesday group is recruited solely from Dimension 20 groups, and they're
Is it
amazing.
really?
Nice.
Oh man,
Really good.
I will definitely take a look at that, and I'll definitely let people know, because man, people are always looking for games of D&D.
Oh,
always.
100%.
As if, and did you say this is just the Dimension 20 Facebook page?
Yeah, there's like, I think like dice posting, or it's like they always like give it the name of whatever season they're doing. I think it's like junior year posting. It's something like that now at the minute.
Got you.
Cool.
I'll take a look. That's fucking
But it
great.
is
No, thank you.
really good.
Yeah.
That's really
As
good to
someone
know.
from Facebook group chats, avoid Facebook group chats. Is my advice.
For real. Oh
I
my
got lucky. People don't get lucky on Facebook group chats. So
Yeah, and you know what? It
Yeah.
wasn't just like, you know how you were like, oh, the Dimension 21. It was just some
It was like
fucking
Yeah.
janky,
we were
like
like D&D Northeast.
like local.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Like,
You know, we just happened to be in the same town, and
Yeah.
you know, the red flags speak enough. But how are you supposed to know the red flags when you don't have any experience
when you don't
with it,
know
right?
what a red flag is or isn't, because
Yeah.
you're still figuring out like what you do and don't enjoy at the table. You're still figuring out that you like maybe like a little bit more of a lax 5e time, not a like crunchy 3.5 sort
Yeah.
of time.
Yeah.
And also like I don't know, like roleplay, I think for a lot of people, like roleplay is a big make or break. Like combat can be combat, and you can grow to love a certain style of combat. But like if you're uncomfortable during roleplay and what people like enjoy there, I think that's a big make or breaker for a
That's
lot of
true.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I agree, and I think that's why it's important. Like, you know, like we, like Lich Please and us, Eldritch Podblast, we go over things like horror stories, and I think it's important to highlight like that these things happen. And then for people, I mean, I'm sure so many new people watch your podcast and they learn from hearing these horror stories. Okay, well maybe this is a fucking red flag.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important to highlight these things.
Or even maybe like there's one thing that we say quite a lot is like your first group is probably not going to be your forever group.
Yeah.
Like, because TTRPGs are such a curated thing, like roleplay and things like that, you're going to get to the table, start to figure out what you do and don't enjoy, and then you can probably find a table that fits you far better after that. You know, there are people that are lucky and fall into a fucking group and they love it and it's exactly what they want and all that stuff, but rarely is your first group your forever group. And I think a lot of people get turned off being like, well, I guess D&D is just not for me. It's just like, no,
Yeah.
you just were unlucky.
Yeah.
You just didn't get exactly what you wanted from
for
this
real.
first group. But there will be a group out there that does it exactly like how you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Speaking of horror stories, and when we read out horror stories,
Oh.
what an amazingly smooth transition, by the way.
We want to break down
Professional
we have a list of like our worst story and like
Yes.
our tamest.
Yes.
All right.
Our
So-
tamest we've read is, I think it was just basically a new DM, and this player who was like an experienced DM just posted a story and we're just like just shitting on them, and it's like it's just
Yeah.
a new inexperienced DM.
Yeah,
There's
for
no
real.
need
Yeah.
to.
Huge
The worst.
distinction.
You guys might have read it, but it was the DM had turned it to microtransactions and was making a player pay them actual money
Oh my
to
God.
come back to life.
Oh my god, yes. And with this was
Yes.
it, was this what that was like at a game store or something like that?
I've got to remember now. Let me
100
try and
euros in
find it.
debt or something like that, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
That's
It
mad.
might
You
have
know
been.
what?
I think it was.
I don't know if we've read it like actually on our podcast, but I have definitely read that story
That's
before.
the worst by far. It was mental.
Batshit
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Batshit
That's
crazy is always the
yeah.
best ones.
That was rough. And I said to you, Wan, a few weeks ago, I think, That person who posted that story had more stories from that campaign, in which we couldn't read on the podcast because
Obviously.
it's wild. Yeah. So this one's a horror story, right? But it's kind of like advice, I'd say.
Okay.
The title is Should I Be Worried About This Game? Now, it's a great question.
Should they?
I guess we'll find out. So, it's from the player. On a burner, because I want to be discreet as possible since this campaign is a homebrew and recognisable to any members. This whole campaign started a couple of months ago, around late December of last year or early September, I can't quite remember. It was all going pretty well. The only thing that really bothered me was the DM NPC. Always bothers people. Yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
They even put brackets. I know that should have been the first red flag. So the DM NPC, the whole story revolved around for the entire first part of the session. I guess campaign is what they meant. I didn't dislike him as a character completely, but I would have appreciated if not all our consequences affected his life in some way that we had to quickly fix. After the boss fight to end this part of the session, I think it all collectively went rather well. We all took a break to give a DM some time to write a new story for us, new adventures, and so on and so forth. This is when, at least for me, the problems began. So this part of the session is revolving around my character's backstory. My character found out something that was incredibly important to them / triggering, something to drive them to do more in the upcoming story. I didn't have a problem with that. It was the DM NPC that gave me as what I could describe as an illusion of choice. One really dumb answer, which would get rid of the information I got as a character, or something that could affect the DMPC later on in the story. This was when I felt like they had already written the whole storyline. I wasn't too entirely pleased with the first session, I was being honest, and I have theories of what they're going to do to my character, and quite frankly, I'm a little afraid. A couple of other things that I've been noticing is railroading players when it comes to their actions, shutting down ideas without a second thought. I'm not really confrontational, while our DM is. I've been vocal to one player about my concerns, but either way, I'm still scared to say anything in a way that will come across to the DM and upset them. But the more I sit here and marinate on it, the more I'm dreading going to this campaign and playing it. What should I do? Yeah. I mean, leave.
First note, yes.
Yeah.
You probably should leave. But the thing is, right, there's you know, a saying that we always go on about, which is just like, I don't know if you want to be a dungeon master or you would just prefer to be an author.
Yeah.
Because if you have, as a dungeon master, you can be, you know, some people aren't great with change. Some people are a little bit more like rigid with the storytelling. They struggle to improvise and things like that. And that's fine as long as your players know that that's the case. If you're like, yeah, it's going to be like this like open world and free choice, and I'm going to give you like decisions to make, and it's just like, if you are giving me the illusion of choice, yeah, it's already decided. That is the time where you shouldn't be a dungeon master. You should just write a book. Because what is the point in getting everybody in a room to ask a question that you already know the answer to?
Yeah, and you know, like, it sounds like OP obvious. It's obvious to OP that this is what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't sound like it's like speculation. It's like quite obvious that this has been going on. Like, you know.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer of there is a difference between railroading and actually just like telling a story.
Telling a story and leading your players.
But man, one of the biggest things is the second that your players think that you're railroading them, then it's over, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
right?
tough. It is tough to come back from that. It is tough to then think that you have a choice when you don't. We've had many like this, and especially when you're inserting yourself as a prominent DMPC straight away, and then not giving anyone a choice. It's like, do you just want to be a player, or do you want to just be an author? Because I mean, I don't know if it's truly working out being a DM.
I want to know what they mean by, you know how like in the beginning they were like, everything that we do impacts the NPC. Do you do you think they mean, like, what do you think they mean by that?
That's a great question.
I don't think it explains it.
No. It could be
like their adversaries. If they're adversaries, I don't know.
Yeah.
It could. It's very likely. and just going off what they've written here, is that the story is probably in the back of the DM's head about his character, and they just happen to be there.
It's and like
Yeah.
that is who the fuck is that fun for?
Who's that fun
like,
for?
Yeah,
There's not
like,
for any players.
maybe
Yeah.
the DM, like maybe, but definitely not the players.
The DMs have a fucking great time. They're playing, they're DMing, they're telling the story. No one can change it.
Yeah. I mean, what's your guys' opinion on it?
What do you take?
Yeah, what do you think?
Iwan, you can go. Yeah.
I think I think first, I think we say it every time, but like most of these stories could be resolved with communication.
100%.
Yes.
There should have been communication. I think. When you started suspecting railroading, you should have been like, we are not happy with it as a group. We are not happy with this, because then the DM has no choice but to change, or they lose their story.
Yeah.
Like that's the decision you need to give. Communicate. I don't know, but yeah, I think leave. I think the group needs to come to a consensus as a group. Like, we want, this needs to change, or we're leaving, and then you can leave as a group and play together, or find another DM, or
Yeah. So
no, I agree. Yeah,
I tend to like to read the comments, I
either
out loud.
I agree.
And usually on, now I don't know if you use the subreddit for it, the D&D horror story subreddit. I'm sure you do, or just search on Reddit or whatever. But usually when I read stuff, the comments just hate the DM all the time.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time in which I've read comments where they've just gone, just speak to him. It's the most reasonable comments I've ever seen on a post. I'm so surprised.
Reddit's normally on one.
I'm glad you're recording this, because it's a first.
In that situation, if you just go to the Dungeon Master and you literally air out those grievances and air out those concerns of being like, it feels like we don't really have a choice here, and it's sort of already written, and the Dungeon Master goes, yeah, fair enough. It's like,
yeah, like,
cool.
I find that in a lot of these, like the person like OP who has the grievances, they've actually articulated perfectly what the issue is, and 9 times out of 10, sending that exact message to the DM would probably resolve the situation.
Oh, 100%, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like I feel like OP always has their answer, but it's as we said before, it's a fucking scary thing talking to people. It truly is, no matter how close you are with them or not. Like, I'm really surprised that everyone's saying just speak to him.
Honestly,
we do an advice section where like subscribers can send in advice, and 99% of the time they put in the conclusion to their own advice. Exactly. I'm just like, you said it best already. All you need to do is just talk to them, make sure that you say it clearly. It's not adversarial. It's not like you started off with, I'm really enjoying it, I want to keep playing, but there's just these few things. Like, is there any chance we can like talk about it? It's like, that'll probably do. You don't probably need to do much more than that. That's all you can do. You have to open that line of communication first for it to get solved.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes it's just a lost cause.
And then sometimes
sometimes it's better to leave.
Yeah,
it's wild that you go.
No, go on, you finish.
Oh, cool. I was gonna say, it's wild. The first comment even says like, definitely talk to him, or just politely bow out of it. Like, this is so. Am I sure I'm on the right subreddit? Like,
Jesus, that's incredibly reasonable. Yeah, fucking hell. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And you know what? So many people, I notice when you read the comments on these things, so many people are like, people are just going to tell you to talk to him, and it's really bad advice. But it's like, man, what other fucking advice is there? Like, like we always say, how can you expect someone to change if they don't know?
If
like,
there's a problem, how can they do anything about it?
And granted, there's of course caveats to that, right? Like, if someone is intentionally being an asshole, or someone's intentionally being X, Y, and Z, then they mean to do it. But something like this, it sounds fucking annoying.
But
right?
they might just not know it's annoying.
Yeah,
so
they might
talk
just
to them.
know.
Yeah.
Or they know it's annoying and they don't give a fuck.
On railroading as well, I think like a player of mine in my Wednesday campaign was running a one shot, and they were like, "How do I get my players to do this thing I needed to do, but without like forcing them into it. And I think
Yeah.
you need to remember that at the end of the day, D&D is a game. If you
Yeah.
want your players to do something, you can just communicate them as yourself. Be like, hi, like just if you can just do this one thing for me, it'll open up the story, and we can do so much more.
Oh my god,
can
well
just
said.
you can just tell your players to do something
Yeah.
as a DM to make things
Yes.
easier on yourself. Like, it's a game, guys. Like, just do this one thing for the story. It'd be great. Afterwards, you can do what you want.
Of
Yeah.
course. Oh my gosh, of course. And exactly that, Ewan, is something that isn't said enough. Like,
No.
the DM being able to just say above game, like, hey, just fucking do this thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're allowed
Yeah.
to do that. That's not railroading. That's not metagaming. And you have to have a certain level of party buy-in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like, I always say, as D&D players, you have to suspend your disbelief to a degree, right?
Yes.
Just you know that you're together as human beings at the game, and you have to do the thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think there's one place in Dungeons and Dragons where railroading is absolutely 100% fine, and it's in a one shot. Like
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh
we've
yeah.
got 4 or
Without a
5
doubt.
hours,
Yes.
and I've got this story to tell, and we're not going to do it again. So by the end, we need to be in this position. So just fucking take the bait and do the thing. It's
Yeah.
like in a one shot, that's fine. But I do think a lot of people are so scared to railroad them because of all of this discourse online and stuff like that about railroading. But it's like Margaret said, like to piggyback on that point, like your players most of the time. Oh, sorry, my dog
sorry, the
sneezed.
dog sneezed in
My
the
dog
background.
sneezed.
Goodness.
Sorry, mate. Most of the time, 99% of the time, your players actually want to play the session that the Dungeon Master has planned. So most of the time, they're just gonna do it. Like if you give them the bait, they're gonna do it. And like that's not railroading. That's telling a story. That's Dungeons and Dragons and TTRPGs are a collaborative storytelling game. So let's collaborate together and tell the story. Let's collaborate together and play the game.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's not
100%.
railroading.
Definitely. Agreed.
No, definitely. I think on my one shot as well, I'm pretty sure I kept hinting at you lot to go to the basement because they were upstairs and I was just like, oh, the basement seems nice.
You were like,
Ah.
smell wine coming from the basement.
Yeah.
I was like, well,
Freaking party.
Yeah.
FOMO right now.
Oh my god.
They made like 4 or 5 perception checks to smell or see things, and I was just like, you smell wine. You smell a lot of wine from downstairs.
You hear the dance music?
Yeah, and then and they explored like every other room. Don't get me wrong, I wrote a lot of rooms. It's kind of my fault, but they got into the part where there was like a bunch of like people to speak to, and then I was looking at the time. I was like, ooh. One of them spoke to them, is just having a conversation. It's like, yeah, the basement, yeah, where the vault is. I just said it as the characters. Like, yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
thing, by the way.
And we just went, oh yeah, let's go downstairs. Like yes.
I feel like as well, like, sorry, I don't know if you can hear our dog
You
scream
may
crying in
hear
the
some
background.
There's always like a point where he's like, "You've had enough time away from me. I need to cry. You need to be with me now."
Yeah,
So
Every
if you
dog
hear him
ever.
crying, I'm very
Yeah.
sorry.
that's why. That's him back
Perfect.
there. I feel like, you know how you said like people say I'm scared of railroading them, and I think as human beings in everything, but also in D&D, we're scared of this like invisible person that's judging us, right?
yes.
Like, because we see the discourse online, we see people on the Reddit
Yeah.
being like, oh, railroading's this and railroading's that, and we build this invisible person in our mind who's judging us when actually fucking no one's
No
judging
one's
you
judging you.
apart from yourself.
Yeah.
And that can be said about anything
And
in life.
It's not even that. It can even be like, I see a future where I think that somebody's judging me. It's just like, we haven't fucking got there yet.
Yeah, no one's judging you.
No
Yeah.
one's judging you. We haven't got there yet. No one is judging
Yeah.
you.
And if your players have a problem, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
They will.
Yeah.
They'll
They should
tell you.
do.
In
They
the
should
end,
do.
they'll tell you.
Yeah.
You guys definitely would.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. Oh no. 100%. Yeah, we would.
Alex is like, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and this might be controversial, a thing for online players, right? And this can only work with online players. You can't do this in person. If you really don't want to speak to someone and you really don't like their campaign, just block them. Just block them. If they can't get a hold of you, they know you're not going to be there. They just get someone new, right?
That's true.
Especially if like the idea of like your safety, or like that someone
Yes.
could like bombard you, or someone could post about you. Fucking just block them.
Block them.
Oh my
God.
Just say you're leaving, leave,
And
and
block
never
'em.
come back.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
Exactly.
hit with a golem.
Yeah, I've left the whole server by just blocking I blocked the owner of the server and admins, and I was like, yeah, I'm gone. Like, I'm out of here.
Up here,
Yeah.
man. You know what? There's nothing more annoying and being so real in our Lord age of 2024. Like, online discourse is scary. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
ability
really.
people have to be able to be in contact with you so fucking easily is scary. People's access to you is scary, and there's nothing more stressful than thinking something has happened and then seeing like your phone blow up and seeing these things. Safeguard up here and
Yeah.
block them.
Yeah,
I'm
do it.
so with you on
You
that.
take care of yourself first.
Definitely block 'em.
100%, yeah.
Get them blocked.
100%.
We never see you two ever again.
That was a dreadful interview.
Ugh.
So I have one final question. There's something I do, which I call magpieing. Is which when I see something nice and shiny another DM does, I just take it. So is there anything like that you've done? I think for me, it's the thing that Matt Mercer does is where he will go, give me a deception or a persuasion check and don't say which.
Yes.
I love that. I've taken it. Amazing.
Yes.
Fantastic.
We do that too because man, I love the bamboozle. Oh, I love
Yeah,
that one.
It's
yeah.
so good.
Yeah, agreed.
That's a brilliant rule, because if you're like, oh yeah, I'll roll deception, it's like, well, my character might not know you're lying, but I now 100% know that you're lying. So I think that is a really good one.
That
Just like
slaps.
roll the dice, don't tell
Yeah.
anyone, just tell me the total.
That's a good.
That's a good one. I really like that one.
That's a good one.
So for me, like again, where I feel like I excel is with improvisation, and I'm happy. Like I'm really like telling a story. I like homebrew my own stories and stuff like that. That's where I excel as a dungeon master. In terms of like rules and stuff like that, I don't really come up with that many of my own. I just steal them. I remember a brilliant one that I will never ever fucking, and I have no shame. I'll steal it and I'll just like, got it from here. Don't care, as long as it better.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Come to fuck. So the best one that I ever took was XP to level 3. The YouTuber Jake. I don't know if you know him, but he has like a homebrew rule that he implements, and he has an advantage disadvantage token, and we talk about it on our table all the time. Instead of inspiration, because inspiration's great, but a lot of people award inspiration for like great roleplay or something like that. And let's just say Margaret roleplays really well at the table, and I'm like, that was brilliant, Margaret, have some inspiration. And then Josh roleplays really well, but I just didn't think to give him inspiration. He's like, why didn't I get inspiration? Like, was I not roleplaying well enough? Like, is there a problem? Does Jack not like me? Does Jack hate me? It's like, and then like all of these things can stem from that. So what the thing is you have a token. On one side it has an A, on one side it has a D. At the beginning of every session, the advantage is up. At any point where you fail a skill check, anything like that, you can flip the token over and just gain advantage on the roll. And then at any point after that, while your disadvantage is up, I can make you use it. So if I need you to fail a save and throw or something like that, I'm like, use your disadvantage, and then flip it back over to advantage. So then they can then use the advantage again. And it can also work really well if someone's having a shitter, which players do. Like if Margaret's rolling like shit.
You and rolling 3 natural ones for
rolling like absolute shit, and they've already failed something. I'll just be like, just use your
Oh,
disadvantage.
he gives us the pity disadvantage.
Roll it again. You've already failed, but then your advantage is up. So it's like giving back to the player, so they might be able to succeed.
That's really good. I like that a
Ooh,
lot.
that is interesting. Yeah.
It's really good.
Stole that 100% from Jake from XP to level 3.
Yeah.
And I think, like, as dungeon masters, we're not alone, but you know, like, we're the only dungeon master at the table, so we need to look out for each other. So if you've got a good rule, if you're okay with me using it, I'm fine, and you can use anything that I do, and that's why we should like share these things.
Yeah, I love that. Magpieing, did you call it?
I love that. It's a brilliant
magpieing.
Oh, I love that. That is such a wonderful, wonderful question. That's great.
Yeah. One thing I've taken from Abria is she always goes, how is your character feeling? And I've taken that without a doubt. It's so good. It's such an amazing question.
That is, oh my God. So I DM'd very briefly, like 6 sessions briefly. And it was after we watched Exandria Unlimited, where Abria, God, DM'd for them. And honestly, I noticed the exact same thing. She would so often go, "What's your character feeling right now?"
How does that make your character feel?
What an incredible question.
Such a fucking
And
great question.
I'm not kidding you. That is the advice. You know, I'm sure you guys hear this all the time. People saying, "How do I get like the quieter person to role play? How do I get them to role play with
absolutely.
me?" That is such an incredible question to
Love that.
ask. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we're on the same wave.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Like,
think we've stolen quite a few things, to be fair. I personally have already stolen things for my campaign.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
like
Good.
all of the ship combat rules are
Go.
stolen. Yeah, like I think we talked about this recently. I don't know if we're gonna implement it. So we had a guest, must have been a while ago now, that talked about inspiration, but I think it was Taryn that might have said it. When you get inspiration, you don't use it for yourself. You use it when someone else is having a really good moment for them. You can never use inspiration, and it's like give them a natural 20 on something.
Yes, I think it was Encounter Smith said this.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
inspiration was not advantage; it was a natural 20, but you couldn't use it for yourself. So if your friend was trying to get something done, you could give them a natural 20, so they automatically succeeded. But you had to narrate how that your character was giving them that natural 20.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what an incredible one. Be able to tie it into like actual in-game shit. I love that. That's
very cool idea.
Brilliant. That's a really good one. You say you're Oh god.
We are using that, yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely, we're using that. It's such a fun one.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think the only rule I have actually come up with by myself, and it's a very small one, is I was playing a lot of Divinity Original Sin 2.
Great game.
Yeah.
Great game.
I just finished it. Yes.
Yeah. And you know, like in combat, you get like extra damage when you're like above somebody, and you get like less damage when you're above somebody. I changed it to, because we use Tailspire, so like our maps.
So do we.
Oh, hell yeah. Tailspire's fucking
I love Tailspire.
Amazing.
Tailspire is so good.
So you can like obviously have like height differences in maps. It doesn't really work with top-down maps unless you know where the high ground is.
Yeah.
Basically, if you have high ground on somebody, you get to roll an extra d4 in your attack. If you have low ground against somebody, you roll a negative d4. So it's just a little bit, but like it's definitely made the maps a little bit more dynamic. Like they have been like, people have been searching for the high ground. People have been like, I need to get at least on level with this, so this person's going to be able to like hit me easier, and it's made the maps more interesting, to be honest.
Agreed.
Yeah,
nice.
Agreed.
And I didn't even come up with myself. I stole that from the
that's how it is, and I feel like that's how you learn. That you hear it's like I was gonna say wives' tales. That's not
wives' tales.
That's not the right
Old
term.
wives' tales.
But you take things that work and that inspire you, and then someone else will hear it and then go from there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the joy of D&D, and
I think
again, not a DM.
But you can still enjoy the rules that we implement.
Yeah, and like one thing that I saw that I kind of took when I built my most recent character, it was actually someone in our community. Her name is Dana's Lit List. She's a book talker, and she actually made as a gift for me a mood board for my character in that campaign. And ever since then, I'm like, well, I'm going to make a fucking mood board for my characters.
Every character.
Oh my god, every character from now on, I'm going to make a mood board for them.
Yeah.
Like having it's like a 3x3 grid.
9 images.
9 images. And it's just like pillars of what's really important to my character. And if I'm ever doubting, if I'm taking my character maybe in a way that, if I'm ever doubting anything, I look at the mood board and I go, that's my fucking bitch right there.
These are the fundamentals. These are the things that matter to my character.
Yeah.
And like, sometimes you do get a little bit off course and you do get off track. So like, refreshing your memory of things like the pillars.
Yeah, pillars of
that
my
are
character,
important is awesome.
That's something that I took from someone in the community, which for a player, I would always recommend.
Yeah,
so much fun.
That's a very cool idea. How do you think? So you briefly mentioned it there. How you think Tailspire has like changed your games? I think like we would say Tailspire is completely like before combat was kind of like. It was something we did, but it was kind of like a slog, and it wasn't as fun for everyone. But Tailspire completely changed that. Like, I think our first session, we normally go for 3 hours, 7 to 10. But I think we ran for like 6 hours, and it was like 11:30 before anyone noticed what time it was.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh shit, we've overran, but we'll finish the combat. It just changed our combat, like the way we run it completely.
Yeah. We've always used Tailspire. Matthew used to just get just have like top-down like maps. Sorry, one second. I'm just gonna say hello to my dog because he is screaming.
It's completely fine.
Dog is fucking losing his mind out there. I do want to say, Matthew used to when he DM'd for us. He subscribed to loads of like people's Patreons who had
loads of YouTubers are getting sponsored by it at the minute. It's like it's a funny name, but they just do like hundreds of thousands of different maps.
Yeah, but basically, like
some of them are insanely talented. Some of the Patreons out there are amazing.
Oh my god, incredible! And I'm not kidding you. He would load us up on Photoshop. He had custom icons for us, and he just moved us around in Photoshop like on the map. And seriously, for our first game, it was great for us, honestly. And then you moved straight into using Tailspire like immediately, right?
I started with Tailspire, and we've never done anything else, I don't think.
We did try Dungeon Alchemist, actually.
Well, Dungeon Alchemist, I will say Dungeon Alchemist will be amazing at some point, but right now I think it's still in its early stages.
It is gorgeous though.
It looks
stunning.
So good. And like the fact that you can just like click and drag and then it's just like there's a crypt.
Yeah.
And it's done. And it's like fully decorated inside, I think is amazing. It doesn't have the beauty of Tailspire, I think, is the area of effect that you can like lock in place and move around. Like if someone's got spirit guardians on them and they like move and you can just move the dome with them.
Man.
It's like for things like that, cones, area of effects is so good. I don't think I could go to any other any other system until they have that in it.
I mean, and it's still an early access. Am I right in thinking
that?
Like,
I think so. Yeah.
For early
They've
access,
just added.
It's incredible.
It's very good.
And how long have you guys been using it for?
A while now. 6 months, six, 7 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
You know what? Like in the time that we started using it, which was maybe like a year and a half,
2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago. Wow, it has really come along. I bet it's even changed since you guys started using it honestly.
You know how you can like lock the domes and things like that? At the beginning, you couldn't do that. You could put it down, but you couldn't lock it and you couldn't move it. So like they're making like all the new aberration like types, the ship types, all the modern types of terrain, and all of those things where you can lock and move domes and circles and stuff like that. That's all been added since I started playing. So they're working on it a lot.
And they listen to community feedback too,
Big
like
time.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Tailspire's great as well because I like it as well because stuff in the map that Iwan just lets us take and just use. Like he's like, I think 3 sessions ago, we were in a combat in like a goblin cave. There was chains off the wall, and I just said, "Yeah, I want to take them. I just want the chains." Yeah, I just went, "Yeah, fucking take the chains." I was like, "Cool, thanks." Yeah,
like I want to hit somebody with that chair.
Yeah, Tailspire slaps.
I love Tailspire. I do love it.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you want to know my only gripe?
Oh,
I've got one gripe. My only gripe is its collision is so sensitive, and there's sometimes where you like clip, and then your character will just fucking disappear.
Yes. Yeah.
Like if they can just sort a bit of the collision out, I think it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Agree.
100%. Yeah.
We used Above VTT for a long time. It was a Patreon based. It's a Google extension that's free and complete. It links in directly with D&D Beyond, and it is infinitely better than the one that they've got currently.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's got the area of effect spells, AOE things. You can pull monsters directly from D&D Beyond.
Nice.
You can get all their stats up. It's
very good.
Genuinely incredible.
What did you say?
YouTube maps Above VTT.
Above VTT.
It's really quite good for free.
Yeah. There's a few like that as well that I've used in my previous experiences. Owlbear Rodeo, it's pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is one we hear a lot. Yeah.
What did I use? Roll20. Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah.
People like that. Yeah. And I see the clip now. I think it's called. I don't know if this is Dungeon Alchemist. It might be similar because I know alchemy's in the name. Where it uses AI to give you your map.
That's
And it's like
that's
it
exactly
is Dungeon Alchemist. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Wild. Yeah.
It looks
insane.
You
God, insane.
just click like I don't know, like park or like bazaar or something like that, and you just drag a number of squares that you want it, and it creates it,
It populates it.
has all of the like bits and bobs and knickknacks and stuff like that you want in it, and it is unbelievable. It's just at the minute like it's really like primitive. It doesn't even have a grid, I don't think.
Ooh.
So you can't like count like squares and stuff like that. I do think eventually it'll be
For real.
real. I think it'll be sick.
I think the biggest issue was like the lack of like actual minis. You know, in Tailspire there's a million billion minis now.
Yeah, and you can import your own minis.
Yeah, like,
That's what we do. Yeah.
I do think with Dungeon Alchemist you can import your own minis, but you know, just the stock ones that are there, there wasn't a big range. I think that was the issue. There was like a big range.
4 enemies or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, there's like a rabid dog and there was like a zombie on the map, and I'm like, just use your imagination, I guess. But, you know, like it was just a little too early access for me right now. But I do think it was sick.
Yeah, do check it out though, for real.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I actually until I played with you Anne's campaign, I'd never used like a month or two before, I'd never used maps. My first campaign was imagination only. It was just uncool. Yeah. I mean, my mind went crazy. Like, I was making up so much shit in my head, but yeah, I've never used them.
Reading a book, innit?
Yeah. Some people go hard for the theatre of the mind.
They
like, there's a few people in our community that ride or die, like, just theatre of the mind.
Yeah.
Because they think that, like, because some people don't really take the combat as seriously, and they don't like want it to be as big of a part of the game. It's more for like dramatic effect, thematics, and stuff like that. And I think if that's the case, just rocking theatre of the mind is great. But I think when you want to like run really tough combats and like really like specific monsters that do specific things and have specific like abilities to like push, pull, like lock you in place and things like that, I think spacing is really important. For me anyway, as a dungeon master.
I mean, how did you find Theatre of the Mind, Alex? How did you find that?
Honestly, it made me think of, so as I was saying like earlier, I always find myself more creative with martial types. It makes you think so different about combat, like an insane amount different, because you can't see any of the enemies. So like in my head, that would just be like, oh, I know where everyone on my side is because we've talked about where we're standing. Don't know where the others are. And then the DM will give you a piece of information. I'm like, okay, cool. So there's a goblin over there, and there's like goblin there. There's a goblin there. Cool. I'm piecing it together. And then I'll just be like, oh, let's stick me in a place where all of them are lined up for my dragon's breath.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, cool. Yeah, just right there. But you'll get a teammate. I was like, they'll be fine.
They'll
it's it definitely makes you think differently. Like, combat is a lot different than obviously using maps. Like with maps and stuff, if I see something, I'm just gonna run in and kill it. With Theatre of Mind, it's like, oh, I might not see everything. Maybe play it smart. I never play it smart. I will just kill things. But like, it makes me think more. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
No, that's so fair. Yeah.
It was a bit
surprises me.
Yeah.
I would say I run maps for someone like you because you are so creative in combat to give you that visualization of, oh, there's a wall there. I can slam them against that wall.
Oh, yeah.
I can pull that wall down on them. Or I want to give you that, like, the visualization of it gives you more options of things to do because you're crazy in combat.
I do some shit.
We had a 3-hour combat where you didn't use your axe once.
Yeah,
you everything but your weapon.
It actually, one of our players' notes was literally like the next session. It was like Alex used his axe. I hate using my weapons because I hate rolling the same dice every time I hit something. I want to do something else, right? I just bought dice. Let me roll them.
Like the chair.
Spice of life. Yeah.
Yeah. I do. I've jumped on someone with my shield pointed down on them, like when they're prone on the floor. I've like strangled someone with a belt and then tried to pull them like in half. I just do shit, man. Like it's just better.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
just
best.
better.
And honestly, you know how you were like, I prefer playing a martial because I can be more creative with it. I agree. I think with spells, and don't get me wrong, I do love spells as well. I'm only now getting to grips with them because obviously I played a moon druid barbarian for ages. I had fucking no spells to deal with. Now I play a swords bard. There is more to deal with. I agree. As a martial, I remember in my very first campaign, I played a a berserker barbarian.
Woohoo!
We were fighting a Balgura, and it was this big fucking massive thing, and it kept moving away. So I was like, can I just stick my sword into it and just ride it and just stay on it? And the DM was like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
This
Yeah.
is good fun.
Yeah.
I do like, and I think another good thing, like that Tailspire and things like that, is great for is rogues, because physical things for them to see that they can like hide behind or potentially use as cover to then peek out from and get sneak attack is really helpful. And then you can make it a little bit like, oh, this one's a little bit more sparse. I'm gonna have to use my movement to get over to the other side of the map because that's the only place where cover is and things like that. It allows you to, especially for line of sight things, it's also good for. Like, you can literally line up the characters and see if they've got half cover, quarter cover, full cover. You can't see them. You're going to have to use your movement to find them. Like, that's really good for Tailspire, I think, which I like.
It really gets them thinking about like battle positioning and okay, we let's have a plan when we go in of who's going where, and I think that's just made combat so much more interesting. Especially as like a DM, because I always, it depends on the creature, but I will roll an intelligence check to see, okay, how does this creature understand, like, okay, the cleric, some person is down, and that's a cleric. If I take out the cleric now, that is two people. But it's when they think about stuff like that, it makes it easier for me to also sort of give the monsters, well, a brain as well, rather than just having them be mindless.
Yeah.
100%. I do like a smart enemy.
Yeah.
Big fan of a smart enemy. But I also love, stupid enemies, because sometimes you just like do the stupid thing that is not going to like be the most tactical minded thing. And I do like to run monsters like that. Being like, this thing doesn't know what flanking is. Why is it going to flank? Why am I going to get myself a flanking position? It's got 1 intelligence. It doesn't know even what it is. Like, it's not going to know to do that. But then thinking of like counterspell distances, and I'm going to move here so I can get more people inside the cone of cold that I'm going to cast and things like that. Like, thinking as your enemy, I'm a big fan of as a dungeon master.
Yeah.
What's important to them? Do they want to survive? Do they care about getting out of here alive? Are they just on a path of destruction? Like, love that.
Yeah.
I think one of our guests said that they'd planned this big encounter with like a wyvern rider, and it was meant to be a really cool, deadly encounter. And one of their players cast command, and they were like, "Oh, the saving throw's too high. Like the guy it wouldn't work." It's like, "Oh, I'm not casting it on the rider. I'm casting it on the wyvern." And they were like, "Oh, damn, that's." Yeah, okay, that's fine. That works.
I fucking love that.
I love bits of that when you like completely just get outsmarted. I'm like, damn, I didn't think of that, but fair play, well done.
I love that.
You'll never think of everything as a dungeon master. You can try, but you just won't.
And you know what? I bet for everyone that was a really fucking cool moment as well.
Exactly. I love that. I love when I get outsmarted. To be fair, that's one of my favorite times.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, it's happened in our campaign as well. With Tyr and the Slard, famous story.
Yes,
level 2 fight a bunch like a Slard, and our paladin cast Compel Duel, and then we just battered the shit out of the Slard before he even killed anyone. It was great. We wiped that combat in like 20 minutes, and we didn't even have the whole party. It went really well.
Yeah.
Compel Duel is an underrated spell. For tanking,
it really is very good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. I do think it's good.
The moments in combat are the ones where people do batshit crazy things and somehow it pays off.
Yeah, and they come off.
Yeah. Or sometimes it doesn't pay off and it's just hilarious.
And then it's just hilarious. Yeah. It's not effective, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Do you have any banned spells at your table?
No. We don't do banned spells. I think, and I can only say this now because I am, 3 campaigns deep, 2.5 years into Dungeon Mastering every single week. I think that as an early Dungeon Master, I think if you need to, do it. But there is a there is a counter for a lot of things, and there is a workaround for a lot of things. There is a way to overcome a lot of problems. Like if your player is just like casting slow on you, and then they're just running away, and you can never catch up and stuff like that. And just something that they're doing every time. There is a counter for everything in the game, and just with experience, you will learn that. But I think if you need to, just going to your players and saying, I'm really struggling to balance this spell at the minute. Is there any chance that maybe we could like not use it for a little bit just until I can figure it out? Or like, is there any way that you can tell me that I could maybe like counter it that won't feel like really bad for you? But I'm just struggling to make even a remotely engaging combat because you do it every time. And then my combat is just like finished. Like that open line of communication is good. But I think there's plenty of resources on the internet to find out how to counter slow, how to counter haste, how to counter spell. There's a way to do it. It's just figuring it out. But I don't have any. Do you?
No. I don't agree with it. I think like if you're going to use it, it's like I'm also playing the game as well, and it's part of my fun to figure out a way to circumvent that, to get around it as a DM, because I'm also a player at the end of the day. I'm also playing the game as well, and I think people do forget that the DM is also a player.
They do forget that often. Yeah,
they do. I think figuring things out, and like yesterday we had a fight with, like there was a particularly slow enemy, and I'm like, I know what's going to happen here. I'm going to get fucking kited the entire combat, and I'm going to do no damage. But immediately Matthew cast a Hunger of Hadar, I think it was, and obviously it's like blind inside it and stuff like that. And luckily, the creature that I was running had blind sight,
baby.
And I was like, I just stood on the end of it, and I was like skewering people and pulling them into the darkness.
His Hunger of Hadar. So he took the Hunger of Hadar damage and then the poison damage.
The acid damage from the creature, and it went nowhere near the way that I thought it would.
Yeah.
But my players at the minute have a fascination with spike growth. Like at low levels, spike growth can be a particularly hard. They like to find a choke point, stick spike growth down, stand on the other side of it,
and just push
and pull.
Yeah.
We've got a bard that can like flourish and move things. We've got a warlock that's got repelling blast. We've got telekinesis on 2 of the telekinesis on 2 of them.
We got a monk that can push.
So they are falling into the cheese grater trap currently. So that's been just so fun for me.
we fucking stand Bane as well.
Yeah, Bane. So like when they're trying to make the perception check to perceive the spike growth, I'm failing because of the Bane. So but I'm a Dungeon Master who loves combat, love a hard combat. So I'm okay with it. But I could see a earlier in their life Dungeon Master getting my party that are cheese gratering their enemies and being like, do you want to know what? Fuck this.
Fuck Spike Growth.
That fucking spell can rot in hell. But I know how to counter it, but at the same time, I don't just want to counter it all the time because that's what they love doing. They love seeing the cheese grater happen.
Yeah, we do.
So I don't want to just negate that because that feels bad for them. But sometimes, now and then, an enemy will be smart enough to not go into it or can fly or something like that.
Sometimes there's not going to be a choke point.
Yeah, sometimes there's not going to, or I'm going to do a map without a choke point, so they can't.
Create the choke point. Bring a shovel, dig a hole in the floor. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I understand why people ban, but I think banning is only a temporary fix, whereas overcoming is what we should strive to do, I think.
Yeah.
So we'll go for one final question, which we ask everyone. Are there any small creators you want to shout out?
Lich Please.
Thank you.
Yeah, you and us. Because I know there's a lot of people in our community that we've told about this interview, and they've been like, "Oh, send us it so we can watch it and stuff like that." So I will tell everybody because I know they'll watch every second of it. If you haven't, please subscribe to these guys because this has been a load of fun.
Oh my
This is
god,
the
so
first,
much fun.
Yeah.
the first interview that
We've
we've
had a great
done.
time.
So it's been awesome. So please subscribe to you
Same
guys.
wavelength, very much same wavelength.
Yeah, very much so.
For
Yeah,
real.
for sure.
I would like to give a shout out to Diana of the Rose.
Yeah.
She is a D&D creator as well. You most likely will have seen her on TikTok,
Yeah.
but she also streams on Twitch.
Yeah.
She is absolutely so wonderful. I'm sure you guys have had these people where, you know, the community it's not huge, but it's big enough to be intimidating.
Yeah.
And Diana was one of these people for us where when we started streaming specifically, she really made such a huge effort to make us feel
To reach
welcome,
out, come into the chat,
and included, and that really means a lot. So
Yeah.
Diana the Road, someone I would love to shout out.
Careful Cantrip
Yes.
as well. We're going to be doing something like this with them soon, I think.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Amazing.
They reached out to us. They also welcomed us onto Twitch and stuff like that. So they're really nice.
Yeah. And then small business wise, a dice maker. I would really like to shout out Mercenary Art of Dice. Jen is a member of our community. She has made so many amazing sets of dice. She's a really wonderful person and a huge supporter.
Yeah.
Dice are beautiful. And she has some sets, some specific trans sets where she donates 15% of the proceedings to like a trans helpline, which is a huge thing to us.
And you know, like as a small business, to give away a portion of your profit to something that you believe in is tough to do, because small businesses, you know, don't be making a huge amount of money in this fucking economy, sadly. So, you know, to do that is a big thing and a really honourable thing, I think. So big up to Jen from the Mercenary Art.
Yeah. What about you guys?
How about you guys?
It's a great question. Usually we just reach out to people and get them on the podcast. Actually, well, big shout out to you lot as well for actually for coming on. It's honestly, you guys had a lot of followers, and it was really nice reaching back out to us and saying, yeah, you come on. So thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Of course.
Big shout out to
someone who we did have on, but we didn't manage to. The episode we had issues with was Richard the Wandering DM is amazing. Has some great insights. We had an amazing conversation.
It was very, very good. Yeah,
amazing. Not checked him out. He's really good.
Yeah,
lots of experience.
I'd definitely say as well. You guys might know him, Gabe Greenspan. He's on TikTok. He's the guy who does the filters with like the monster stats and stuff. Really cool guy. He also has quite a big following, and we were like, we reached out to him and got him on our podcast like a few months ago. So yeah, big shout out to you guys. Big shout out to Gabe and Richard. 100%. Like,
you know what? One thing I wanted to ask you guys, like, you know, in terms of when you just reached out to people, is it literally as simple as you just went, hey, do you want to talk to us?
Do you want to just collab and stuff like that?
A lot of people, yeah. It's just, do you want to? I think some people in the community are so enthused about D&D. I think D&D is one of those things where people. I mean, we barely had a conversation about what we were going to talk about, and we've gone for 2 hours and a half. It was it's just so easy to talk about D&D because we all love it so much. This one.
Actually, this one. I think that our previous longest was Richard's, about an hour 40, but we did lose that episode, so it's an actual shame.
Now 40? We've been going
we've
50 minutes more.
It's been a joy. It's really been.
It's been amazing.
We've really enjoyed it.
Challenge any creator to come on and make it
go longer.
Cool. Yeah. So thank you guys for coming. We do stream on every platform. I say every, I mean every. I'm pretty sure we're on every fucking platform. All of them. Yeah,
everywhere.
Cool. Yeah, thanks everyone for listening, and 5 stars on Spotify. Subscribe. Thumbs up.
It really
thumbs up.
For us and Eldritch Podblast. The review really did help a lot more than I think people think, and it really is great to get that.
Cool.
You better be smashing that like button.
Weird
comment.
Do it. Comment anything. Get the algorithm cooking.
Say something weird.
Yeah.
Try me the weirdest.
Yeah.
I'll comment then.
Say less. Find me in the comments.
Much for watching. And we will see you guys next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.